Dying Light is a really special game to me. Not just because it's fun or because I've been playing it on and off since, oh my fucking god, 2015? I remember pre-ordering this game. I watched every trailer like it was the fucking second coming. Man, death is really marching towards us, huh? But hey, let's not dwell on that. Because what makes Dying Light so important to me isn't the story, trust me, we'll get into that, and it's definitely not that. It's not even the gameplay, even though the gameplay is absolute peak, or the absolutely chaotic saga of the developers fighting to make the game that they truly wanted to make. No, to me, Dying Light represents something else entirely. A key friendship in my life, a person, a time, and a bond that this game became the backdrop for. So I guess we should dive into that story. My love of gaming, it honestly wouldn't exist without my best friend growing up. We were that close, the kind of close where you don't even say friend, you would see them more as a brother. Every Friday night for a long time without fail, I'd head over to his place and we would just chill. We'd order some greasy shit chicken shop chicken and just play games for way too long. But more specifically, mainly, zombie games. Now I know zombie games are kind of polarizing, especially in the general gaming community. Some people love them, other people think they're tired, contrived and overused, but for us they were our thing, from Left 4 Dead or Dead Rising, but it all started with COD Zombies, of course. That was probably the game we played the most, just trying to beat that high round on our personal best, inventing dumb challenges for us to do, and laughing way too hard at stupid things that would happen in the game, like us going down too often or whatever else happened. But as we got older, things changed. Gaming in general changed a lot, and split screen co-op was a thing of the past. So of course, we didn't really do it that much anymore. So the hanging out at each other's house slowly started to fade away, and we would stop gaming together as much. But once I finally got my own Xbox 360, one game in particular became our complete new obsession, Dead Island, and man, we played this game to fucking death. I was actually tempted to make a video about Dead Island for this video, but after actually replaying it and getting about 3/4 of the way through the game, Dead Island's pretty rough, I'll be honest, as much as I love it. But a few years later, and a console generation later, Dying Light comes out, a game that we were both super excited for. But when I first got the game, I actually ended up playing it alone because I got an Xbox One for some fucking reason, and he got a PlayStation 4. So we actually couldn't play the game together, but you might be asking, why did I get an Xbox One? Well, there is another certain other zombie game that is from a franchise that I absolutely adore that I got an Xbox One for, Dead Rising 3. I got it for Dead Rising 3. And while I enjoyed playing Dying Light on console, I didn't fall in love with it as much as I would do until years later when we both had PCs at one point, which is now my main platform, so we could play a certain other shooter, which I've put way too many hours into, and I might do a video on it one day telling my story with it. I'm talking about Counter-Strike, but again, that is a video for another day, because man, I have a very interesting tale for my time playing Counter-Strike and just how fucking stupid it was, especially early on, and how far I would go up the ranks in it. But eventually though, we would both get Dying Light on PC and we would boot it up together for the first time in years since it released. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it was magical. It felt like those old Friday nights again together. Not because the game was flawless, because fuck me, it is not flawless, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but because that feeling of just chilling out was back again. Running from zombies, cracking jokes, and just screwing around with the game's mechanics. It was the same chaotic energy that we once had playing Dead Island all them years back, just in a new form. But that was years ago, like we're talking almost 10 years ago now. But recently, I decided I wanted to revisit Dying Light one last time for my 1-year channel anniversary. It is one of the first games I talked about on my channel, and I wanted to revisit the game in full again, to see if not only if it held up, or if it was just a relic of a memory of a moment that I cannot get back. Of course, in an ideal world, I would have played the game again with that friend, but he's not really a friend anymore, which is for reasons I won't get into. And if you've seen my Dead Space 3 video, by the way, you know I don't really have any friends. So just like the very first time I played Dying Light, I was playing it alone, and man, it was a weird feeling of nostalgia.
The eyes of the world have been glued to the city of Haran for the past 2 months, following the outbreak of a previously unknown pathogen.
Dying Light opens with this really cool, in my opinion, info video which explains the viral outbreak that occurred in Haran and the quarantine that has been set up to maintain and sort of keep in the virus, with the GRE maintaining that quarantine and dropping supplies in from air to help the people that are surviving in the quarantine. But like any good government, another part of it, the Ministry of Defense, wants more drastic actions to be taken to basically eliminate the virus. They want to firebomb it, basically. And it ends rather ominously with,
whether by way of the virus or the Ministry's proposed plan, one thing is certain. Haran's days are numbered.
Honestly, this intro is amazing. It sets up the world so well, and it presents the exact sort of situation that you're going to be playing through and sort of the stakes that are at hand. The city might be completely wiped out if you don't complete whatever your objective is going to be. But also, I like it that it's almost presented as a sort of informational video distributed by the GRE potentially, or just the government. Now, the city of Haran is a fake city in a fake country that doesn't actually exist, but it is based on Mumbai and Istanbul. But it's a really cool location, I will be honest. But again, this video just sets the stage perfectly for the city we are entering. We understand what's going on, we understand the sort of state it's in the post sort of outbreak, a couple months into it now, and it is completely cut off from the outside world, with the only outside influence being those airdrops. So I just like it. But let's actually get started with Dying Light's story. But this doesn't actually start with the game itself. Dying Light's story actually started before the game even released, with, in my opinion, one of the greatest trailers ever made for a video game. The Run Boy Run trailer, which I can't play the music, but it is perfectly used for this trailer. But it's a cinematic trailer showing a character called Brecken, who we will meet later in the game, and we will dive into a bit more, going out on what is called a run for supplies to catch that airdrop. And of course, in this trailer, his team starts with 4, but as the mission goes on, he slowly starts losing more and more of his, I guess, survivors or friends, and eventually ends with him getting a concussion from some sort of bandit. It sets the tone perfectly for Dying Light and honestly outlines exactly what the game is really about. You're not really fighting zombies a lot of the time, you're going to be running away from them. But I just like it, and I wanted to highlight it because I think it is one of the best pieces of marketing ever made for a video game. Dying Light in general had some of the best marketing I've ever seen. There were so many great trailers for this game and interviews and everything. It was one of those games that gets really good marketing for almost no real reason, which I don't really understand, but hey, it worked in their favor. But yeah, anyone I've ever suggested playing this game, I always tell them to watch this trailer first and just tell them that the guy in yellow is Brecken, because I honestly think it adds quite a lot to his character, and it does sort of outline his sort of character changes and big character arcs in the story, and it's kind of a shame that it's not in the game. It would be great to see this as like the tutorial mission for Dying Light, but it's not. So a lot of people that buy this game on discount that have not seen this trailer, they lose a lot of the story. But again, it's a great trailer, I like it. But let's move on to the actual game though, shall we?
HUD activated. Commence briefing.
Approaching Haran.
Data on the subject, Kadir Suleiman, a local political figure hired to maintain order after the outbreak. His brother Hassan died in a disease-related incident before we were able to evacuate him. Suleiman blamed the GRE for Hassan's death. He stole a highly sensitive file which became his bargaining chip against the GRE, with instructions to publicize it if anything happened to him. Data on the subject, the stolen file.
Jump in 10 seconds.
It details the incomplete process of synthesizing a cure for the virus. If implemented in its current state, the produced substance may be extremely toxic.
Now.
Also, the file contains full description of the virion structure. Any attempt to use it would result in countless lives lost. It must be recovered. Further information, current status. Suleiman sent the file to an associate unknown to us, with instructions to publicize it at his command at any time. To counter that, we instituted a citywide communication jam, preventing him from publicizing the file. Your GRE-issued radio can overcome that jamming. It is your lifeline. Do not lose it. Suleiman has since gone underground and begun using a different name. We have reason to believe he now leads one of the 2 main factions operating within the city. You are to find Suleiman and locate the stolen file in order to save mankind from a disaster of unprecedented proportions.
Okay, let's just pause real quick. So we are some sort of elite operative, basically jumping into the quarantine zone in order to hunt down a Kadir Suleiman. Kadir was hired by the government in order to maintain order during the outbreak within the quarantine. So he is a very influential figure, as he was basically chosen to lead the entire city during a time of crisis. But the people we work for, the GRE, were unable to evacuate his brother before he died due to, and I quote, disease-related incident. Bro definitely got eaten, basically. So as revenge, Kadir here stole a very important file, a file which contains the current project on creating a cure for the virus. But if used, this current cure, it can be extremely dangerous, as it isn't actually finished yet. So our objective is to find Kadir and retrieve the file by any means necessary. But there is also another person out there who has a copy, so if anything were to happen to Kadir, like if we were to just kill him, the file will be published. So the GRE can't do a more hot and heavy approach and just sort of bomb the area. They need a more surgical and careful approach. So it explains why we are the only operative going in. Unless you have friends playing with you, then a small covert team will parachute in and slip into the key groups in the city, as Kadir goes by a different name and leads one of these two factions, but the GRE cannot confirm which group he leads. He either leads the group that bases themselves in the tower, or he is a man called Rise in another location. Also, the entire city is jammed to prevent any leak from occurring of the file, so not even radio communication is possible, but we have a radio that can break through that jamming. So that will explain how we are able to communicate with the GRE even in their jamming. So basically, we need to save mankind. So what happens as soon as we drop into the zone? This brother got stuck in a fucking pylon, then hurt his leg.
I told you that wasn't a normal drop shoot.
Break his legs, then take him to rides.
Back up! All of you!
Stop! Loud noises draw them.
Then got physically assaulted. With Kyle firing a bullet, the thugs retreat.
Fall back! Fall back!
But we are met with some funny looking guys and we are bit. So of course, it's not a great start to our holiday here. But we are rescued by a friendly man and a woman.
Let's get him off the
And the guy that just saved us is killed off. And his name is Amir. I'm sure Amir is not important at all.
Tower, this is Jade. Get sick bay ready. Got a guy with a bad head wound and a bite on one arm.
Oh shit, Amir's hurt?
No, Amir is gone. But I'm bringing in someone who might still survive.
One of us?
We'll see.
Well, it seems that we have already infiltrated one of the key groups we needed to with the tower. Jade takes us back to the tower and leaves us in the sick bay to have our wounds cleaned up. But we got bit, and you might ask, well, what kind of infection does Dying Light have? Does it have a bite that instantly turns you, or is it more of a slow sort of infection? Dying Light's rules of infection are inconsistent at best. If you get bit, you're infected and you'll eventually turn into an infected or a zombie. But the actual time of reanimation and the time of turning is wildly inconsistent, and honestly doesn't make a lot of sense a lot of the time. Anyway, we awaken to kids doing kid things, being scared of us and thinking we're a zombie.
You pinch him. You're scared. Not scared. Then pinch him. He blinked. What? He blinked again. What if he's a zombie? Zombie! Run!
But as we awake, we can now explore the tower. The tower is the main HQ for this group of survivors.
Where am I? In paradise, can't you see?
Why is he so quiet?
Okay, looking around. Head to room 190. The boss will brief.
With us being instructed to head to room 190 to meet the boss of the tower. Also, we are given a number, 31, which is the number of infected survivors. So we are the 31st infected survivor, which That is a lot of people to be infected. But yeah, people aren't also very happy with us being here. Apparently we have some pretty big shoes to fill. Amir clearly was very important to the overall functioning of the tower, as his death is seen as a big loss, and we are apparently sort of not as desirable as Amir, so it's clear Amir did quite a bit and was also liked by a lot of the community here. Anyway, let's go meet this boss, shall we?
Hey, I'm looking for the... Are you the boss?
What, am I too young? You got the problem with my age?
No, You wanted to talk to me?
That's better. Do you remember anything? Know where you are?
Yeah, I can see this is some kind of shelter.
We call it the Tower. Brecken and his runners put it all together a couple of months ago, and we've been here ever since. Hunting airdrops, scavenging, and rescuing people.
Yeah, I wanted to thank that girl.
Good, because if not for her, you'd already be chewing somebody's knee bone. Your Antizin was totally crushed, by the way. Only thing Jade could salvage was your radio.
Oh, great. So can I get that back, please?
Actually, I think I need it more than you do.
Believe me, pal, that's not the case.
Fine. Take it. You know my runners put their lives in danger for guys like you. So now you take the Antizin meant for someone else, and you won't even share your gear with us? I don't have time to deal with your bullshit. I've lost contact with one of our guys thanks to the fucked up radios we're stuck with. Do something for me, would you? I don't want to see you or your precious radio anymore, so go be useful somewhere else. We don't tolerate lazy assholes here in the tower.
Hey, be fair. I'm not lazy. I'm just... Hey, boss.
Save it. That last guy I mentioned, he's only on the 13th floor, but he might as well be trapped in a mine cave-in. Come back later. And I'm not the boss. Too young, remember? I'm Rahim. Brecken's in charge here.
Well, Rahim seems rather nice. As I just said, we're basically trading places with another person, and this seems to have ruffled quite a few feathers, as Amir had some pretty big shoes that we need to fill pretty quickly. But Rahim does allow us to get some rather important information about the tower. The tower itself was a settlement that was set up a few months back at the start of the outbreak, when the government started to fail, which they've been doing pretty good honestly for a few months into the apocalypse, and they're still living pretty okay. Now the leader of the tower is Brecken, the same guy from the trailer that we saw, and they seem to have something called runners, people who head out and just do that. They run around and hunt down supplies, which explains why we got ambushed by people immediately. They thought we were an airdrop and ran to be the first ones there, and of course we weren't an airdrop, so they decided to beat us up. But anyway, with our protag here a bit miffed that we are indeed not lazy, we head down to the 13th floor to fix the problem Rahim was talking about, and we see a rather nice sight.
Jesus, how many people died here? Crane here.
Where were you? We've been waiting for your report. It's been over 70 hours.
I lost my radio for a while. Don't worry, my cover's intact. No contact with the tower's leader yet. Unable to confirm identity. I'm taking steps to blend in.
Acknowledged. Time is of the essence, Crane. Remember that.
There's one more thing. I got bitten. I've shown no symptoms, but the people here say I'm infected.
Then you'd better get your hands on some Antizin ASAP. Hadn't you?
Help! Somebody!
What the hell?
And this is when we actually learn our protagonist's name, Crane, which you might think is a code name, but no, his actual name is Kyle Crane. And man, Kyle Crane is kind of goated, I can't even lie. Voiced by the legendary Roger Craig Smith, who has played a couple of Marvel characters, a couple of DC characters. He played Batman in Arkham Origins, by the way, Ezio Auditore, Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5 and 6, and a couple other Resident Evil games, and of course, Sonic the Hedgehog. He is an actor with a shit ton of talent, spanning decades, so he was definitely up to the task of playing a character, being deceptive to everyone around him, and being someone in a very difficult situation all the fucking time. But anywho, with a man screaming for help, we find our first zombie, a biter, the slow shambler zombie of the Dying Light world. And with one tap of a metapole, we kill it. Honestly, they're B tier than the most basic zombie. But after we beat up the zombie, we find a man on the floor having been bit by his brother, who we just killed. This is Mark. With us contacting Raheem, he's surprised that we even went down to the 13th floor and killed some zombies. With him now asking for us to wait with Mark here and call for Lena. We quickly run around and grab some medical supplies in response to a request by Mark, with us retrieving a bottle of alcohol and some gauze, and this is basically to teach us the crafting system in Dying Light, which is it's pretty basic. There's no cool animation or complex process to build stuff. It is as simple as selecting the thing in your inventory, hitting OK, and it makes it for you. It's simple, it works, but it's a bit boring, honestly. I would have loved a cool animation, kind of like Dead Rising or something. But with us patching up Mark, Lena now arrives and takes over to patch Mark up. So we now head back and meet up with Raheem.
All right, taken care of. Piece of cake. What else you got for me?
Well, let me think.
Raheem, you are just smart enough to be dangerous, you know that? Omar told me about your plans for the nest. Explosive charges? Really?
What? Explosives?
Oh,
I never said
please.
that.
You can't tell a convincing lie to save your life.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah? You think you can't die?
You're not my mom.
No, I'm not. Our mom's dead. So you might want to be a little nicer to me since I'm the only family you have left. Especially now that Amir is gone.
You're Jade, right?
Right?
I just wanted to thank you for what you did for me and tell you how sorry I am for your loss. I owe you and Amir my life.
Yeah, you do. You want to return the favor? Keep my dipshit brother from killing himself.
Bless.
No explosives, Raheem.
Well, what a friendly family, but seems Raheem here wants to blow something up, much to the opposition of his sister, Jade. But before we can speak to Brecken, we need to have a change of clothing. So we head to our room and quickly change into your best outfit, whatever that may be. But even after changing, Raheem has a little bit more for us to do, so we head up to the roof and enter the gym.
Raheem, I don't see you. Where are you?
What are you waiting for? Get over here.
And we get to do the parkour tutorial. So I guess we should talk about Dying Light's most important gameplay feature. It's parkour, the thing that sets it apart from every zombie game. Dying Light's gameplay is split into 3 distinct sections in sort of what you do. You have combat and exploration, which were 2 things that Techland took from Dead Island, and now the new thing, parkour, is added to them 2 core pillars, making a 3rd. Parkour is used in both parts of the game, both combat and exploration. It's a method of traversal, but also a way to fight zombies, either through your movement or through specific moves that you can pull off with parkour.
Welcome to our gym. First things first, you've got to learn how to run.
What do you mean, learn how to run?
Just do what I say, all right? Now, jump down to the very bottom.
Are you nuts? I'd kill myself.
Don't be a wimp.
Come on, you can't be serious.
Watch this.
Raheem!
My leg!
Jesus, don't move! I'll get help!
Ha! I was just fucking with you.
Son of a bitch!
What?
Now, while Dying Light is the first game to have parkour mechanics, I would argue it is probably one of the best games to actually use them. It felt like it used parkour to its full potential, and while parkour at first in Dying Light feels limited, like you get winded really quick, you feel sluggish, climbing feels slow, eventually you slowly get better and better, which is because you have access to skill trees, like Dead Island. and you have 3 of them to be exact, with one entirely dedicated to parkour, or its actual name, agility. And while I could go through all of these skills and rank them all and talk about them all, I'll avoid doing that. But the skills allow you to not only obtain new movement tech like tic-tac, ram and slide, but also enhance pre-existing skills or ones you've unlocked even more. One of my favourite skills in the game is the forward roll, as it allows you to fall from stupidly high heights and survive it as long as you hit the roll at the correct time. Now, while a lot of these moves, especially at slower difficulties, aren't essential, a lot of them can really help in combat, especially in higher difficulties, which I found out playing through on nightmare difficulty in this playthrough, as the normal technique of just spamming your weapon on a zombie doesn't really work because weapons break very quick on nightmare and you do almost no damage. So utilizing every skill that you have at your disposal honestly makes combat a lot easier. So if you ask me, Nightmare is one of the better difficulties to actually familiarize yourself and forces you to use all the skills that you have at your disposal. Skills like Slide and Leg Breaker, while okay at best on normal or hard difficulty, is an easy kill in Nightmare because it actually allows you to better deal with zombies because it allows you to trip them up instantly. But not only that, the skill tree allows for a natural game progression in not only the gameplay sense but also the story as well. It's pretty clear Crane will not start as the best free runner in Haran, but as he spends more time in Haran, slowly practicing and doing parkour more and more, he gets better and better, and that slow progression feels more natural than if it was just instant. And while agility takes ages to level up, it feels so worth it in the end because you get some of the best skills in the game and also makes the game so much more satisfying to play. Anyway, with us doing our best Assassin's Creed impression and landing way too hard to actually survive the fall, we continue to tutorial which explains that using movement is essential to survival, as most zombies cannot actually climb, which, yes, is true, but there are a few distinct ones that can. Honestly, I really like this tutorial, as it shows you the many different types of things you can grab and climb and use in parkour. It also shows you what you are capable of entirely. It displays the limitations that you have and what you need to look out for while you're running about. It's simple but effective at teaching you in a diegetic way, as it feels natural to have people in the tower want to figure out what Crane is capable of. But as we try to return now, Crane has withdrawals.
What's happening to me? Shit. Oh, shit.
Talk to me. What's going on?
Something went wrong. Rahim, what just happened to me?
Oh shit. I bet you're having your first seizure. Just get back over here.
Well, that isn't too good. The infection seems to cause seizures as well. But with us getting back to safety with Rahim, and he explains that antizin isn't a cure and that we are still infected. Antizin is basically a drug that kind of slows or resets the zombification progress. It's kind of like Zombrex from Dead Rising. If we don't get an antizin shot every so often, we turn. And I actually thought at first when I played this game back when it released, Dying Light might actually implement a similar system to Dead Rising, a sort of timer system that if you don't manage to get an antizin shot, you'll die and turn into a zombie. And that isn't a feature, that was something that I just thought they might have copied from Dead Rising, and I think it's best that they don't have this feature because, man, it would be annoying to have to go out and look for antizin every so often when you just want to do some side quests for a bit. Anyway, we now need to head to a Dr. Zia and get our jab. So we're sent to a quartermaster who gives us a weapon, a fucking table leg, honestly a solid weapon in the zombie apocalypse, and he goes on about us bringing him supplies, which will be the main collectible which you can find throughout the world. And these collectibles and missions will be used to level up another one of the skill trees, the survivor skill tree, and this one is associated with Crane's sort of legend within Haran, how much he has helped the other survivors. As I stated, you can either progress this skill line by either completing quest lines or handing in supplies to the quartermaster. And the survivor one is very varied. There is a lot of different things in here, but it's mainly to do with things like crafting, certain abilities you get like a shield, or maybe you get discounts at shops because you've helped so much with just general things around Haran, or the best thing in the game, the grappling hook, which is completely broken. But let us finally venture outside.
Okay, new guy, be careful out there. We've lost too many already.
And now the game finally opens up entirely. And I guess with that, we should now talk about combat, as this is probably when you're actually going to get into your first bit of combat. And yes, this is the third and final skill tree within Dying Light. The other part of the game, the physical combat part of it. Now, combat at first seems pretty simple. You swing a weapon, you hit them, you do it enough times, you kill them. If you get hit too much, you die. It's very much Dead Island's combat system. But where Dying Light really spices things up is with, again, its combat skill tree. Now, the combat skill tree not only enhances certain skills like kick, or the usage of specific weapons, like throwables, one-handed, two-handed, etc, etc, but it also allows for very powerful new abilities to be unlocked, like the drop attack, power attack, or the many different types of finishing moves like stomp or stealth finishes. Now, a lot of these skills all play into one another as well. For example, the slide skills or drop kick allow you to then follow up with a finisher. So even the skills in completely separate skill trees can tie into one another and sort of enhance one another. Meaning that leveling up all three skill trees is very important, as it will fully round out your entire kit when playing the game. And you level up combat by doing just that, by fighting, killing, hitting, shooting, whatever else is associated with the combat skill tree. If you do it, you get XP for it. But with us now reaching Dr. Zare's base, we meet Dr. Zare himself.
Doctor? Hello? Anybody there?
Camden, are you there? Damn it.
So I'm supposed to get a vaccine?
What? No, suppressant. It's called antizin. Suppresses the symptoms. Here, sit. Antizin postpones the inevitable. Best the GRE could do.
Inevitable? So there's no cure?
It's a variation of rabies. There's no cure right now, but you see, I've been running tests on both antizin and infected tissue. A cure is possible, definitely possible.
Oh shit, you really think you can figure it out?
With Dr. Camden's help, yes. I think so. Now where did I put that injector?
Who's Dr. Camden?
A colleague trapped in Sector 0, where the outbreak first, broke out. We've been collaborating via radio, though we would have made more progress if the connection were better.
So as I said, antizin isn't a cure, but Zare is a bit off his rocker, and he clearly has a lot going on. Not only trying to find a cure, but also making sure everyone gets their jabs for antizin. It's clear that this is a dire time. We also mentioned a Dr. Camden, also helping out with research on a cure. But their comms have been shoddy. With us getting our shot, we leave and we now meet a new character, Spike.
Just what I need. More unskilled labor. Alright, shut up and pay attention. There are two types of airdrops. One is food, first aid supplies, survival gear and such. The other kind is filled with antizin. The GRE sends in a one-way video feed that lets us know when they're on the way. Look, the trouble is, the airdrops with antizin keep getting raided by Rise's thugs.
So Spike explains the GRE has been sending in drops later and later in the day, and the next ones are dropping extremely close to nighttime, which is a death sentence for most people to even think about heading out into the world at night. So we need to prepare the area with traps, so the runners that are actually going on this mission can do that job effectively. So we head out and arm a couple of traps. These traps can be used to kill or slow down enemies when you are being chased at night or even during the day. But as we are doing that, Jade calls out to us as a distress signal has been raised, and we agreed to help out a trap survivor. So quickly darting over there and clearing out the biters and securing the safe house with the survivor that was being attacked no longer being a survivor, we now contact the GRE again as we tell Jade we are finishing up with clearing the safe house.
Crane here.
Report.
Okay, I met this doctor, scientist type. They've got him set up in a sort of research trailer and he's working on a cure for the virus. His name is Zara. Hello? Do you copy?
Affirmative. Secondary objective added. Maintain your cover and secure all of his research. Acknowledge.
Your stolen file still takes top priority though, right?
Affirmative. We find it unlikely that a single researcher working out of a trailer could produce any significant results. But if he does, we want to see it.
So Crane is now instructed to keep an eye on Zir, as the GRE are interested in if he is even able to produce a significant result for a cure in the future. Now, being handed back to Spike, we return to arming the traps, and we also explained the use of firecrackers, which, man, firecrackers are honestly the strongest item in this game, as zombies can be right next to you, but as long as you throw a firecracker by them, they will then focus on that entirely. Firecrackers are an item you will rely on a lot early game, especially in Nightmare difficulty, and they were vital for my survival a lot of the time, as head-on fighting a lot of the time in Nightmare was not exactly the smartest idea. So a lot of the time I would use firecrackers to bait zombies into explosives or fires or whatever other environmental things I could use to kill them, as hitting zombies with melee weapons just took way too long. Honestly though, I think Nightmare difficulty was the best difficulty for me to play on, because I've played this game quite a lot. I've beaten this game at least 10 times, probably more, as I know way too much about this game's combat and movement mechanics. But Nightmare, you die in like 2 hits, so I actually had to think about what I was doing a lot of the time and use almost every ability I had to actually kill zombies. It was a good challenge that forced me to actually use a lot of the kit that Dying Light gives you. From especially early on, I used a lot of the special moves like drop kick and ram, but eventually I would receive a certain weapon that would become my new sort of main thing for killing. But as we continue our mission of setting all the traps, you might notice that the sun has started to get a wee bit low. But of course, an issue arises as we are fixing the traps.
Fuck, Spike, the whole goddamn district went down. What the hell's going on?
Not again. Alright, listen. There's a power substation near you. Go check it out.
Quickly darting over to the substation, we arrive and run into quite a large issue. The Goon, or Dying Light's version of the Thug from Dead Island. I actually quite like the Goon in Dying Light 1. Goons have different variants depending on where you find them, and they have different sort of resistances. For example, there are firefighter ones that are completely immune to fire. There are also toxic ones as well, and honestly I really like them. They add kind of like a boss type enemy or a sub-boss type enemy to the game, and they're quite fun, but they're a bit simple B tier. So we fight the big boy, and on the hardest difficulty, this took me a good while, with me eventually beating it and then turning the substation back on. And now I am instructed to bolt out and return to a safe house.
Oh shit.
Bolters are S tier. They are the coolest zombie in the game in my opinion, even more than a volatile. They are such a unique infected that don't want to fight you, instead choosing to run away, and they can give some very valuable resources if you can catch them, which can be used to create a very powerful mod for weapons in the game. But let us now head to bed and hope that the mission for the other runners goes well. With us waking up, Spike contacts us and asks us to meet, so we quickly head over to Spike and he gives us some bad news.
Despite your efforts, Brecken's mission failed.
So with Jade calling everyone in, we now head back and finally meet Brecken. But first we contact our boss.
Crane here.
Report.
I'm about to have a meeting with the tower's leader.
Acknowledged. Confirm his identity and contact us immediately.
But it's now informing the GRE we are to head to the tower and confirm Brecken's identity, if he is Kadir, the man we are hunting. And reaching the HQ, we can hear an argument ensuing. However...
Listen, Brecken and a team of runners went after an airdrop last night. He lost the rest of his team to biters, and then Rise's men ambushed him, beat him to a pulp, and stole the drop. Now Brecken wants to go after the next drop himself, but we can't let him, and you've got to back me up, okay?
For God's sake! You can't even walk straight. We need you alive, you idiot.
Okay, we're going in. Act confident.
That definitely isn't Kadir. So it's probably Rise is the man we're after. But yes, that mission was the one from the trailer, and Brecken was injured really badly. So badly he's been having seizures. And Crane slips up a bit when talking to Lena, showing that he knows a hell of a lot more than he actually is letting on. As Crane, he would know everything that is going on in Haran because he is a part of the GRE. Anyway, this gives us a new side mission about getting anti-seizure drugs for Brecken, but we now continue on to Dying Light's best mission in my eyes, airdrop. First up,
Crane here.
Report.
Tower boss is named Brecken, and he's definitely not your man. The other likely suspect is this Warlord, basically. Local guy. Calls himself Rise. He's hoarding antizin and then gouging the hell out of anybody who wants to buy some. I'm on a mission to get antizin from the airdrop. If I don't succeed, they'll have to come up with something else.
Acknowledged. Good job, Crane. You're doing well. Stay on task, and we'll be in touch. Be sure to call us immediately if and when you get that antizin.
So with Crane being instructed to call the GRE when he gets the airdrop and if he gets any antizin, we head over to the cauldron area in search for an airdrop. But finding there is one there, but there's jack shit in it. Well, what great timing.
You see that?
Yeah, 2 drops.
They landed elsewhere, unfortunately, but you're not that far away. Get to those crates before anyone else does.
Well, I guess we better get on our bike then and get to reaching the drops first. And the first one, we find Rise's men searching it. Now, we are told not to fight them, but I do of course, and you can get some good items here if you actually beat them up. But actually heading to the second drop, we find it hasn't actually been touched yet.
Crane here. I'm about to recover an antizin drop.
Good, Crane. This offers us a new strategy. Time to turn your attention to Rise. Listen closely. It's very possible that Rise is our man. So if you find an airdrop containing antizin, destroy it.
What? Why?
It will force interaction with Rise. You can go under Brecken's auspices as an ambassador, if you will.
But there are civilians depending on this stuff.
Our plan is focused on the greater good. Remember that.
Who could have guessed the government organization isn't good to a fault and actually don't care about human life? So Crane, now focused on his mission, burns all the antizin and lights the Jade, and she gives us a warning about some nightmares being awake. And lo and behold, dying light's greatest zombie in most people's eyes, the Volatile. And we get to experience our first chase sequence against a couple of Volatiles. Honestly, a really good mission that shows you how the chase feature actually works in this game. And also, if you try to fight them, you're probably gonna lose. Volatiles are hard-hitting and tanky as fuck, but they are like that on purpose. You are meant to run away from the Volatiles. They're S-tier zombies though, and they are Dying Light's greatest addition, as they actually allow for the nighttime gameplay to actually be somewhat scary and frightening at times. So we quickly run away, escaping the chase, and make our way back to the tower itself.
Brecken, come on. I mean, we need antizin. I know, but buying from Rise? You can't be serious.
For God's sakes, I'll go. I'm not scared.
Absolutely not. We've discussed that already.
We didn't discuss it. You just decided that
I'll go.
Are you serious?
Well, this Rice guy has never seen my face before. Clean slate, right?
Could you guys give Crane and me the room, please? You sure you're up for this?
Has to be done, doesn't it?
Well, I'm not going to argue. Rice's place is over here. Just find out what this will cost us and come back in one piece.
So with Crane offering himself up as tribute, our next objective is to go see Rise and strike a deal with him, which seems to have made everyone in the tower like us a lot more. As we are not a lazy individual, we are a hard, reliable worker. We have been here for less than 3 hours. Ignore the fact that we just sabotaged an entire drop of antizin, we are a good man. Anyway, let us go meet this Rise character.
What the fuck do you want?
I'm here to see Rice. Brecken sent me.
Honestly, the first little bit going into Rise's place is really good. It clearly shows Rise's power and influence and how much better he and his group are compared to the tower themselves in terms of resources, manpower, and sort of how organized they are. They have better gear, they have a better setup in protecting themselves, and they're more intimidating. They're more sort of together, like a military sort of group. They're not unorganized like the tower, who are just a bunch of individuals. They're a collective group. They're a single group led by a single man. And it explains the matching uniforms, which is kind of crazy that they can make these in a zombie apocalypse. But it's very clear that they're much more military trained, as Rise himself was a government figure, so a lot of the military would have backed him as well, especially early on, and they probably just followed him because they believed he knew what was going to happen. He knew the best way out. But let's actually meet Rise, shall we?
How long have we been friends, Osman? We have been friends for a very long time. That is why I'm so surprised that you would steal from me.
Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
Why, yes, we were stuck on the pole in the parachute.
Very simple. Your right hand or your left? Left. Was that my left or your left?
The bad guy is the bad guy.
You have the look of the tower about you. What do you want?
I'm here to make a deal.
A deal. For Antazin, no doubt. Desperate times. And what do you offer in return? Your services? Your loyalty? Perhaps I should take both.
Talk to Karim. He's one of ours. Do what he asks of you, and Rise will consider giving your people some Antazin. Understood?
So yes, this is Kadir, and look at that hand. Better take that knife so we can't do that again. But we are to work for a Karim, and Rise will consider giving us some Antazin. So let's go meet this Karim.
There you are. Rise said you'd be coming by. I'm Karim.
Crane.
An American. I have an uncle there. Lives in Texas. You from Texas? You a cowboy?
I'm from Chicago.
Okay, Al Capone.
With some casual racism later, we had to climb a tower and fix up the radio receivers up there. But first we contact the GRE again.
Crane.
Report.
Just met Rise. There's no question that's Suleiman. Guy's a psychopath. He's gone from ruthless politician to fucking warlord.
Is he aware of your affiliation with us?
No, he thinks I'm just a guy from the tower. In fact, he's making me jump through hoops before he'll give me any Antazin.
Acknowledged. Continue to do as he asks. Remember, we need that file.
Great. Crane out.
Well, seems we are to play ball right now with Rise, and we are to continue to work for him and complete the task for Karim. But let's talk a little bit more about Rise himself, and whether or not he is a good villain. While I think Rise is passable, it's clear the devs at Techland were obviously inspired by a certain other villain who had great screen presence in a game at the time.
Shut the fuck up!
And while Rise is just trying to sort of fill that same sort of role that Vast did, he doesn't really, as Rise isn't that, I guess, fun to watch like Vast was. Rise is played by Jim Pirri, who has voiced top-tier video game villains like Angelo Bronte from Red Dead Redemption 2 and also Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man 2. He is a capable voice actor who is capable of giving a performance that can really take over the screen. But, I mean, Kraven is like the best example here. Kraven was the best part of Spider-Man 2, and Angelo Bronte honestly was an underrated villain in Red Dead Redemption 2. But I honestly think Rise's issue isn't the character itself, it's more of a script thing. Dying Light has a problem with all of its characters, as none of them really ever get a chance to fully shine. And I think that's fully seen with Rise, who never really gets enough screen time to really shine. Vast in Far Cry 3 didn't get a lot of screen time, but he shone in their moments so brightly that he is the face of that game, despite only being in the game for something like 2 hours. Anyway though, here's a new zombie, the Toad. Honestly, I really like it, A tier. It's a fun design and adds a much needed enemy variety to the zombies arsenal, as ranged is something most zombies lack. Anyway, turning on the power, we head up the tower to fix the radio, but it has been scavenged, so we head over to another tower in order to actually finish our job. Not before getting my shit rocked by some virals, which I haven't actually ranked yet. I really like the virals, as they still show a lot of the human traits like faking fear or crying to lower your guard, so A tier. I actually think they're a really cool concept. And for those that don't know, once humans get infected, they slowly turn into the other stages infected. So they start at virals and eventually reach biters, or if they mutate, they'll turn into the other special ones. But anywho, with us reaching the next tower, much to the dismay of these two fellows, and I fell off the tower at least once.
Oh fuck. What the?
Can you tell I'm good at this game? We reach the transmitter and turn it on. With us completing the task, we quickly start to head back to Karim to receive a fair payment for a fair day's work. But this action of repairing the radio hasn't just fixed the radios for Rise, but also the people in the tower. it has fixed the radios for everyone in the area. And we also get a call from a Troy who thanks us and tells us to contact her if we ever head to the old town. But with us actually returning to Rise doesn't want to give us any antizin, as he has yet another job for us to do. So guess what? We now get on our bike and we do that again. But first we contact the GRE to let them know what's happening. But nothing really important, honestly. Crane just checks in. So we start to collect protection money from the surrounding area, which honestly doesn't take too long. It's just a lot of running around, kill a couple of zombies. But first of all, a new zombie, the Bomber. Beat it. I think explodey guys are kind of lazy and simple. I mean, they're all just pale imitations of the Boomer from Left 4 Dead, so they're not the best, and honestly the Suicider was much more interesting from Dead Island. But now we quickly clear out the fishing village and collect the money Rise owed, apparently. And Crane really doesn't enjoy doing this. If it isn't clear, Crane is starting to slowly question whether or not actually helping the GRE is worth doing all of these bad things, if it's worth doing all these horrific, terrible things to get this file. If it's worth dooming all the people in the tower by not giving them antizin just so he can speed up the mission a little bit more. Now these people who are struggling to survive very clearly are forced to give Rise money, which I'm sure is not an easy thing to actually get your hands on during the apocalypse. And as we are returning for our payment, Brecken gives us a quick message.
Craig, do you copy?
I copy, what's wrong?
Someone's turned on the 18th floor. We're doing our best to contain the situation, but we can't sugarcoat this, Crane. We need antizin right fucking now.
Rise has promised me 2 crates, Brecken. 2 crates. I'm doing this shit as fast as I can, I swear.
Just hurry, please.
With the situation getting worse, Kareem asks us to make a quick detour to check on a missing patrol, who are, guess what, dead, and we need to retrieve an envelope. So with the envelope retrieved, we bolt back to Rise and receive our payment, after giving Kareem his envelope.
Them compassion, they will see it as weakness. Give them a hand, and they will take your whole arm. Understand? I give you shelter, I give you bread, women, bullets, and you can overcome a simple task. I should send every one of you to the pit. Ah, the tower lackey returns. Do you have something for me, friend?
Yes, I do. Now it's time for you to give me what you promised. 2 crates of antizin.
I think not. Your loyalty to the tower is nothing but blind obedience, Crane. A coward's submission to false hierarchies. You follow their rules as thoughtlessly as you follow mine, like a good little dog.
Look, we had a deal.
Your people need the antizin. Now, more than ever, I would surmise. But a man who follows someone else's rules is no man at all. Here, I will allow you this much.
You promised me 2 crates of it. This is only 5 vials.
If you want more, I present you with an opportunity. The athlete, the Scorpion, Jade Aldemir. She's one of your number. Bring her to me. I have an arena where men fight for our amusement. I would have this Scorpion fight for us. I'm curious how long it will take for someone of her caliber to, break.
What? No. No, forget it. I'm not doing it.
I hear no true conviction in your voice, Crane. You have not yet made your choice, I can tell. Will you be a dog and save the dwellers of the tower? Or will you be a man and save the maiden? Go and think about it.
Yes, the bad guy is the bad, so he cuts our deal down to just 5 vials of antizin instead of the 2 crates he promised, and he requests that we bring him the Scorpion, or Jade, as he wants to see her fight in his arena, as Jade was actually a popular kickboxer before the apocalypse, with the Scorpion being her nickname, like all the funny YouTubers have when they enter the ring when they their stupid boxing.
I am the Nightmare! KS!
So we contact the GRE and Crane explains what has happened.
Crane here.
Report.
I'm no longer cooperating with Rise. He wanted me to kidnap Jade Aldemir and dump her with him so he can make her fight in his pit.
Yes, and? Was that it?
What do you mean, was that it? I'm not a fucking human trafficker.
You seem to have forgotten how much is riding on this file, Crane. If Rise wants one girl, then give her to him. You'll be there to keep an eye on her, won't you?
What the fuck kind of humanitarian outfit are you guys? And for that matter, if this project file can save the world, why keep it a fucking secret?
We're not paying you to be insubordinate, Crane. Get this done.
Fuck you, asshole.
And the GRE just tell him to give Kadir Jade, and Crane really doesn't like this. The GRE states that the file is of utmost importance and must be retrieved, even at the expense of trading human life directly for it. But we aren't trading her for the file, we're trading her for Antizin, which is a bit of an odd thing, and I don't understand how this will get us closer to getting the file. We already know where Kadir is, and the best way to get the file would just be to not do this, as Rise has now seen us and believes that we are on the side of the tower, so us trying to get into his group would make almost no sense. It would have made more sense for Crane to go there and just ask if he could join them. I'm sure Rise would have happily taken another soldier for his army, but Crane is very much against the idea of trading Jade in for Antizin. And this is when Crane really starts to change and begins to oppose the GRE's plans. He doesn't want to just be a soldier who follows orders. He wants to be a man that can make a choice and do what he believes is right. Also, telling Jade we only got 5 vials, she isn't very happy about it.
How much Antizin did you get?
Listen, Rice wanted me to, Look, he screwed us, okay? I only got 5 vials.
What? Damn it! That's only a few days worth. Listen, Crane, we've got a situation here. There's been an outbreak on the 18th floor. Get back here ASAP, and don't lose any of that Antizin.
So Jade wants us to return as fast as possible and go out on a mission with her to try find some Antizin.
Do you have the Antizin? Give it to me.
So what happened?
One person turned and had a couple of other people trapped. We could have sealed off that one apartment, but Brecken wanted to save as many lives as possible. It went bad. Somebody had to make the call, and now we've lost the entire floor, including a couple of kids. You'd better talk to Brecken. I have to get these meds to Lena.
Death of children is often used to portray the loss of hope itself, as children represent the future, so them dying will not only be a massive tragedy, but dooms the future of the tower itself. But anyway, let's go see how Brecken's doing, shall we?
This is where we get the announcements about the Antizin drops. And they've just stopped. There were kegs in there! I froze. Lena had to step up. Maybe she should be in charge. What the fuck, Crane? I'm no leader. I'm a goddamn parkour instructor.
Wait, so all the free running... Wait, that was you? Brecken, you showed these people how to survive.
Do you know what my pockets were full of when I showed up in Haran? Fucking business cards. I was hoping to drum up some more students. Maybe get enough so I could save up and buy a house. Instead of that poxy little flat I've been renting. Listen, I'm gonna talk to Rice myself.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Brecken, these people still need you. Okay, just give me some time, all right? There's gotta be another way. A better way.
Fine. I'll wait. But not for long.
Honestly, I love this scene. Dying Light is often said is a game without a good story or good characters, but I'd argue the game has the potential for great characters, that if given the chance to grow and actually show them traits and the arcs, they could have been amazing. Brecken, in my eyes, is the most interesting and strongest character in the game, and I would have loved a DLC or a spin-off game set at the Outbreak with the player playing as or seeing Brecken's sort of story and becoming the leader of the tower. It's clear Brecken struggles with being a leader. He believes he is not qualified and he doesn't believe in himself. There's a lot of self-doubt in his actions, and we see that. He sees the failures more than he sees the successes. Brecken taught all the people in the tower tower how to survive. He taught them parkour and how to navigate the world of Haran. But all he can see is his failures. All he can see is the failed mission, the people he has let down, and the children he let die. But even though that story is there, I think this is Dying Light's biggest issue, is that there are threads here to tell a much more interesting story, but Techland just chose to completely ignore these threads and just leave them there. And unfortunately, we will never really get these stories fully fleshed out, as Techland, instead of doing that, they went in the favor of doing what Dying Light 2 did, which was go way too far into the future and ignore everything from the previous game, which wasn't a very good idea in my opinion. But fun fact, Dying Light was actually meant to have 4 characters like Dead Island, and these characters aren't exactly 100% known. I've seen multiple names, more than 4, for these characters, but the name I've seen most common were Crane, of course, Jade, Brecken, Spike, Raheem, and a character called Antoine, who was apparently cut from the game and might have been voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, which, goddamn. But I think Techland, for not only gameplay reasons, cut the 4-player concept, but also I think for story reasons they cut it as well. They wanted to tell a story with Crane, an outsider who comes into the outbreak, not characters already living in the outbreak, if you get what I mean. They chose to focus on one single character, which is fine, but I really do think these characters could have been so much more, honestly. As bad as Dead Island's story was, and the character development is almost non-existent, I really liked all the characters in Dead Island, with all of them being fun, memorable characters. I mean, for fuck's sake, I still hear "Hoodoo ya voodoo bitch" constantly in my head. But Dying Light only has really one iconic character in its franchise, which is Crane. And no, I don't think Aiden's going to become one of them iconic characters, as he is nowhere near as beloved as Crane, and I don't think he ever will be. But even the characters from Dying Light 1, I just don't think they have enough screen time to be beloved characters. And while I like a lot of these characters and I think they're good characters, there's just not enough meat on them bones. But anyway, enough of that, let's go see Raheem on the roof.
Raheem? Raheem, what are you doing up here?
Hey, Crane. Can I trust you?
How much you had to drink, kid?
Can I or not?
Yeah. What's up?
See that skyscraper? Scouts found a volatile nest in there. We take that out, and then running missions at night, we could totally do that. So I'm thinking, if we planted some explosives.
Oh, Jesus, Raheem, you're not still on that.
Crane, we have to do this. As long as that nest is there, we'll never be able to gather up enough antis. It would work. We make a good team. Ah! Shit, oh my... Ah! Don't drop me! Don't drop me! Oh, fuck. See? Told you we make a good team.
Look, Raheem, we don't have any explosives. I mean, none. The closest thing to what you're talking about are Spike's firecrackers. That's impossible.
You don't know what it's like. All I can do is watch. Sit on my ass and watch everything happen and do nothing. I don't want to die here, Crane. Not like this, not helpless. If I go out, I'd rather go out doing something.
What's this?
I was set to fly out on Sunday. They quarantined us on Thursday. I already had my bags packed.
Look, I'll keep my eyes open, okay? If there's some way we can make this happen.
Whatever.
With Raheem wanting to destroy a volatile nest to make the night safer, he outlines a plan which cannot be done due to not having the kind of explosive ordnance needed to actually blow up the fucking nest. But Raheem is fed up of sitting around doing nothing, unable to make a real difference. Raheem knows that he will die eventually in the apocalypse, and most people in an apocalypse won't survive it at all, and the world itself will end most likely. And with Dying Light 2, we know the world does end, we know society completely collapses. But Raheem would rather die making a difference than just die for nothing at all. But after our convo with Raheem, we headed to the roof and contact our GRE handler again.
This is Crane, do you copy?
What do you want, Crane?
I want you to start the antizen drops again, at least near the tower. These people need help.
We put you in Haran to find our file, not to play Mother Teresa. Or does this mean you've reconsidered Rice's proposal? Perhaps Miss Aldemir would even be willing to cooperate, test her skills in a new environment.
You start giving us some antizen and then we'll talk about what Rise wants.
Oh, it's us now, is it? Well, I'm afraid your request is out of the question in any case. Things have gotten a bit strained with the Ministry. Resuming the airdrops would not be politically advantageous at the moment.
You assholes take the fucking cake, you know that? You and your fucking file. I'll locate the file for you, but I'm gonna take a good long look at it before I decide what to do about it.
Crane has very much chosen to side with the people of the tower now, and while Crane wants to make a good change, politics now comes into play. With the Ministry of Defense, the same group that at the start of the game wanted to have more drastic actions against the infection, are now slowly rising up, taking more and more control of the situation occurring in Haran. Anyway, Jade informs us of a school Rise has taken over, which may have Antizin stored there, so we agree to investigate the school with her. But if they come back empty-handed, Crane knows they will need to discuss the idea of fulfilling Rise's request for the Scorpion. But anyway, let's go meet up with Jade then.
Hey, come here. You should see this. Something is going on at the school. Tyra's men have been hauling boxes out of that place for hours. We need to get a closer look.
So to hear, that guy that watched us hanging from the pole at the beginning of the game has a bunch of goons guarding the school and dragging boxes out of the school, which could be filled with Antizin. But anyway, bad guys are the bad guys.
Fucking Tahir.
And Jade decides to infiltrate on her own without telling us what she exactly wants us to do. So we need to find our own way into the school, but with all the doors being locked, we have to go in the same way Jade went in, so if she just fucking waited for us, we would not have to do all this fucking malarkey. But outside, in the police van, I found a very important weapon. Now, gun combat in Dying Light is stiff, to say the least. But on Nightmare difficulty, I quickly found out guns are honestly still really fucking strong. So I walked into a school with a semi-automatic handgun. Pretty normal in today's world. But with us entering, I basically John Wick the entire level. And something fun Dying Light does is that human enemies might surrender when you point a gun at them due to them, you know, being scared of the gun. And we can commit a war crime by killing a surrendering human. But the school itself is also a really good mission. Not only is it one of the more creepy environments that reminds me of, oh yeah, this is a fucking horror game, but it also lends itself to a really fun combat environment with how the school is laid out itself. But yes, me having the gun made this very difficult checkpoint mission in combat, because if you just have melee weapons, the human enemies are actually a pain in the ass to kill because they dodge so much. So we quickly kill all of Rise's thugs and we start searching the place for Antizin, but we quickly discover there isn't actually any here. So we head down into the basement to search the last area. And again, this game is gorgeous. One of Techland's main strengths is just how they make their environments. These worlds ooze story and history, and they are hella creepy. They're dark, grungy, and uncomfortable to wade through. But eventually, we regroup with Jade.
Give me a hand here, would you?
Yeah, sure.
God, Crane, you're such an oaf. Why don't you just stick your head out the door and shout, "Here we are, come get us"?
Hey, sometimes there's nothing wrong with a direct approach.
Holy shit. That's plastic explosives, right?
Yes, the exact thing that Raheem needs for his plan. So we instruct Jade to leave and take the C4 with her, and we will fight the last guys. And I had 6 bullets left, and I missed the first 2 rounds on this first guy, which I found funny. But after doming the last guy, we leave the school and we head back, and we find another bolter. And a biter, of course. Now as we are heading back to the tower, Jade pleads with us to not let Raheem anywhere near the explosives or anywhere near the volatile hive. So we agree to this very thing. We will talk him out of it and try to make him agree not to do something that rash. Now Raheem is very excited about obtaining the explosives, but we quickly tell him he ain't doing anything with the explosives. He gets a bit upset, throws a bit of a strop, and he agrees that he won't do the mission, as he doesn't want to upset his sister. I'm sure he will definitely keep that promise, and there will not be an entire story mission about Raheem deciding that he's going to go out there and do it. Well, next we meet up with Dr. Zir, with him wanting us to retrieve a sample of bolter tissue. So we run around gathering some info on the bolters, and we have to get a sample of their tissue. So we go out and have a scrap of a bolter, killing it and obtaining its tissue. With the green substance in hand, we hand it off to Zir.
Crane, come in, come in. Did you get the samples I asked for? Excellent, excellent. I was just telling Dr. Camden about
Hello, Mr. Crane. Glad to have you working with us. You sound like an impressive individual.
Interesting stuff, what passes for blood in this creature. Photosensitive. Quite deadly if used on a weapon, I'd wager. But I digress. My last bit of reagent here, and a reserve vial of... oh my word. This tissue, it's testing positive for the recombined virus. Camden, do you know what this means?
The meat experiment worked.
When I dose the meat samples with the altered strain, it's had an effect. This could explain all the different mutations. But I can't. Camden could. He has the equipment, but we have no way to get the research to him.
Well, you can talk to him on the radio. Why not share the info that way?
There's too much data, Crane. It would take years. We'd both be dead and gone before he finished.
Water everywhere, and not a drop to drink.
What if I delivered this stuff to you, Dr. Camden? By hand. The data and the tissue samples both.
Crane, getting from there to here would be insanely dangerous.
Yeah, but it could mean a cure, right?
You don't know how much this means, dear boy. To me, to all of us. I'll contact you when everything's ready. You must go now. Much to do. Much to do.
So Z and Camden have had a breakthrough, but comlinks and the inability to send the tissue samples to Camden to his more advanced facilities means that the development of a cure is currently almost impossible. But Crane offers to deliver the tissues when Z is ready to send them with the samples he has. So Z agrees and he tells him he'll contact us when he is ready to send them to Camden. Anyway, guess what? Raheem has done what he shouldn't have done.
Hey, Crane, you there? Omar and I went to blow up that nest.
Wait, you what? Fucking hell, Raheem, that was my job!
Oh, right, because you're more qualified to handle explosives than I am. You're just a goddamn tourist. But listen, we messed up. Messed up bad.
Alright, what happened? Where are you?
We're on the overpass, and it's all going to shit.
Listen, head to the train yard. Find a place to hide. I'm on my way.
Somebody's in the school. Behind you!
Our scouts spotted
Raheem!
people entering the building.
Raheem!
I guess he shouldn't have done that mission. Anywho, we now get on our bike and move fast to save Raheem and inform Brecken and what has happened.
I'm on my way to get Raheem.
Raheem? He's here in the tower.
No, he's not. He and Omar went to blow that nest and now they're in trouble.
Like, what? Fuck! Where'd they get the explosives?
Well, I stole them from Rise.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
I'm close. I'll get him to safety, Brecken.
You damn well better. You save him, you hear me? You save him so I can kick his fucking ass. Does Jade know about this?
No, she doesn't.
For God's sake, don't tell her. She'll go out looking. And I don't need her getting herself killed too. God damn it.
And the pair decide to keep Jade in the dark to prevent her from doing something emotionally charged and potentially dangerous. Women, am I right? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one. Anyway, look at this movement. I don't know why I made an owl noise, don't ask me, but finding Omar's dead body, we discover that Raheem has got away. So we go look for him where we told him to hide, finding Raheem surrounded by biters. So we do what every English male does in a pub after a match of footy is finished, fight everything in sight. With us now getting to Raheem, we discover that he is hurt and he hands us an explosive which he says has already been armed with a timer. So we have 3 minutes to run into the volatile nest and set the bombs where they need to be. With the bombs exploding, Crane's really excited and he wants to share it with Raheem.
Come on. Raheem! It's me, kid. I did it! Raheem! Oh, you should have seen it. Oh, God. The whole damn building came down! Oh, shit! No, Raheem, stop! Raheem, it's me! It's me, kid, it's Crane! Oh, Jesus! Raheem, stop! That's a fucking bite wound. You goddamn stupid fucking kid! Oh God. Jade.
Now, Raheem's death is meant to be this big pivotal moment in the story. We are meant to really care about this death, but here's the problem. Raheem wasn't given enough time to really grow into a character that we would like for him. Raheem's only had, what, about 10 minutes of screen time, if that. And while I think his character is okay and decent, he again just doesn't have enough time for us to really get to sort of get attached to him and really shine. But Raheem was the first friendly face that we met other than Jade, so I guess that explains why Crane is so upset about it. But of course, Brecken and Crane talk about his death, and guess what? Jade overhears us talking about this.
Jade.
Jade. Wait.
Jade, god damn it.
Just give her time. She needs to grieve.
Well, that ain't too good, is it? Crane runs on down there to stop Rise from kidnapping Zir, and one of them had a gun.
One of them has a gun.
At this point, I had given my gun away for a side mission, so this was really annoying, and I actually completely forgot one of these guys has a gun. So what ensued was a lot of deaths on my part. It gives me an opportune moment to talk about the previous scene. Dying Light, throughout its entire run, has these big sort of story-changing moments, which in a game with an actual script around these moments would serve these powerful character-building moments. But because there is almost no character development or storytelling in between these moments, they don't hit as hard as they should. Raheem's death should be this big moment and character-changing part of not only Crane's character, but also Jade, Brecken, and the entire community within the tower. But after this point, Brecken basically just disappears from the game entirely. He occasionally pops up now and then, but he doesn't take center stage like he has been. Now, Jade does get a little bit more character development. Nothing big, but she is the one that gets the most screen time. And I hate saying this because, again, these characters are interesting. They have these interesting narratives and potential, but they're just not utilized in a good way. These characters have the potential to be great, but Techland just doesn't use them. Jade could have had this really good character arc around Raheem's death, but nothing comes of it. Raheem's death, honestly, I feel like is brushed over way too quick and kind of forgotten about. And that really is my only problem with Dying Light, is just how underutilized these characters actually are, and how almost characters are forgotten about after their death. For context, Apocalypse has only been going on for about 2 to 4 months, I think, and in that time Jade has lost both her parents, her brother, and who is perceived to be her boyfriend in Amir, but she almost just doesn't care. At times she just moves on completely from them and doesn't really mention them ever again. But let us continue with the game, shall we? With Zir being kidnapped, we now need to head and try rescue Zir, but with the building being completely shut, we have to ascend the building with our parkour. Killing the goons as we go up, we enter Rise's garrison.
Crane here. I could really use some GRE support right now.
That's too bad, Agent Crane. This is the Ministry of Defense.
The fuck? What the hell's going on? What happened to the GRE?
The global relief efforts position here has been diminished. We are in charge now, and we have declared Harran a Code 1 target zone.
Wait. Just hang on. You can't just carpet bomb this place. There are still hundreds of innocent people in here. Maybe thousands.
Irrelevant. We're doing this to protect billions of lives. Surely you can understand that.
Okay, just listen. There's this scientist in here named Zara, and he's been doing research on a cure, and he's really close. I've seen the research. If you bomb the city, just...
Acknowledged. The chances of one scientist in a wrecked city coming up with useful results are negligible at best, but... you have 48 hours.
Well, the GRE have completely lost control of the situation, and now the Ministry of Defense are taking point on Harran, and they want to do what the US did to Vietnam, carpet bomb the entire fucking city to eliminate the virus. But even if that was done, just like the use of most hand soaps and sanitizers, only 99% of the infected will die. A select few will survive, and I mean, some are fucking immune to fire damage, they just won't even take any damage. But anywho, more John Wick moments with the thugs in the building, which, side note, I actually quite like this part as well. Not as fun as the score, but still good fun. We reach the underground parking and continue pushing up until we reach Zir.
Who is it? Who's there?
Relax, Doc. It's me.
Crane. Thank God. Listen, this is important. I'm not safe anymore, obviously. But my research must not die with me.
You're not gonna die, Doc, but right now we have to get out of here. So please, lower your voice.
Oh, yes. All right. But understand, my research, it must reach Dr. Camden. That's why I gave the packages to Jade. I know you said you would deliver them, but she was there, and time being of the essence.
Doc?
So, it takes no more than a false hope of rescue to loosen the good doctor's lips. Hunt the Scorpion down, spare no resource.
With pleasure.
I'll quickly comment on Zir explaining in detail his plans for delivering the samples. Some people think it's stupid and silly and doesn't make sense. I think it makes perfect sense. From what little we have interacted with Zir, he isn't exactly all there. We saw that with him forgetting what he's doing and even forgetting that he had the injector for the antizin to Crane when we went to get our shot. He is clearly a bit senile, so it honestly feels in character that Zir would just splurge all of this out at the worst possible time. Anyway, with Rise now capturing us, we now find ourselves in the pit of his fighting arena, and the bad guy does a bad guy thing. Honestly, I don't mind Rise. A lot of people find him too cartoonishly evil, but I look at him more as a man completely out of his mind, as Rise actually lost his brother during the outbreak, which was a failure on the GRE's part, so to me it makes complete sense for him to be like a full psycho. While yes, a bit cartoonishly evil, with him killing his own guys, honestly I don't mind it. I just wish Rise had more fun moments. But in the arena, we scrap a bunch of infected, or what I do, grapple them into spikes, but eventually Rise gets a little bit bored of us doing too well with the infected, so he gives us a bit of a gift. The Demolisher is a big tank style of enemy of dying light.
You're taking the piss, you are. It literally turned around and insta-killed me.
And is kind of like the tank, as I stated, from Left 4 Dead, but with the traits of the Ram mixed in from Dead Island. And I adore the Demolisher. I always like big tanky zombies, and I think the Demolisher is a good boss type zombie and a great boss fight here. And I died so many times on Nightmare, by the way, as the Demolisher 2 hits you, and it's a pain in the ass to kill, and it has way too much health. But it's still an S-tier design, and I love it. But after a lot of slapping and a lot of hitting of the Demolisher, it eventually goes down.
Your skills no longer come as a surprise, Crane. The GRE selects its operatives well.
Shit.
Chaos, Crane. Chaos is the one true order of things. But to pretend otherwise is the sheerest folly. Allow me to demonstrate. Bassam, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Publish the file.
Right away, sir. And there. Easy set.
Well, mission failed, I guess.
Thousands of innocent people! That's what you get with your fucking chaos!
You don't know what was on that file, do you, Crane? You only prove my point for me. The GRE plans to weaponize the virus, not cure it. They're only interested in profit, not saving lives. And by following their rules, you have become their trained monkey. Pathetic. All right. Kill him.
With Crane going loco mode, Zir gets stabbed, resulting in his death, but Rise is He's a completely perfectly stable human being. With us being shot at, somehow Crane dodges fully automatic gunfire and runs his way out of the pit. But let's go over what we learned in class. The GRE didn't have a file on the cure for the virus, but plans to utilize the virus as a weapon, which is what the file was actually about. And with it being published, it is now clear the GRE are not a good organization focused on saving humanity, but on controlling and ensuring they maintain power over the world with the virus, capable of wiping out entire civilizations extremely quickly, which is seen with Haran. And this probably means that Haran was just a testing ground, most likely for the virus itself, on how capable it was, but who could have guessed that anyway? But escaping Rise's garrison, we start to have seizures yet again, so we need to get back and get back fast, so we slowly make our way back until we eventually pass out.
Where am I?
I had to hide you at the pier. Half of Rice's men are after you. Whatever you've done, it's really put them on the warpath.
I have to talk to Jade. Zara, he gave her his research.
She took it to Camden. Well, she tried to. Camden radioed that Rice's thugs had found his lab. So he flooded it with biters and barricaded himself in the middle. Now he's trapped. Then the connection failed. We haven't been able to raise him since.
I'm going after her. How is she getting in? That part of town is sealed off.
There's a group called the Saviors that smuggles people through. They have a den at Nico's bar in the Cauldron near the highway. The contact's name is Jenk.
Do you have enough runners to cover airdrops?
The airdrop stopped 36 hours ago. There won't be any more. We're out of time, Crane.
Shit. All right. I don't know if I can fix this, but I'm sure as hell gonna try.
You know, most men in your situation would crawl into a hole and hide. Hats off to you, mate, and good luck.
Well, the airdrop stopping, our time is now extremely limited, as we are infected, so eventually we will turn into a zombie. But it's not really, because you can just fuck around doing whatever you want in the open world, and the game has a day-night cycle, so like it can take years and you don't even turn or anything. But anyway, we now need to make our way to Sector 0, so we need to find some people who can help us reach there, and these people are called the Saviors. Damn, I sure hope a group called the Saviors won't turn out to be bad people like that other group with the same name and another piece of zombie media. But with us meeting these Saviors, they agreed to help us. We need to head to a tunnel which will lead us out of the slums. And reaching these sewers, we now are welcomed by these Saviors again, who help guide us through the sewers and give us a fast track along the path to Old Town. But guess what? They betrayed us and sold us out to Rise. So a bunch of Rise's men are waiting there to ambush us, and explains why we were made to go first. So as we are making our way through the sewers, we have to fight Rise's goons as well. However, before we reach Old Town, let's comment on the map that we just spent the last 12 to 25 hours in, depending on what you did in the slums. I really like the slums of Iran, and as a map, it's honestly almost perfect for a game like Dying Light. My only complaint is it has a lack of verticality to it in some areas, and having good verticality, especially in a game with a parkour mechanic, does add a lot to the game. The slums has a lot of low buildings and a lot of just roads, so it often feels like you're not really engaging a lot with parkour, but honestly I think it is the perfect opener map for a game like Dying Light. It is the best one to get comfortable with the parkour mechanics before you start getting to the more higher buildings where death is definitely an issue that you'll have to start facing when you're doing some more risky jumps. But not only that, the slums is one of the most beautiful maps to explore. Haran is a map that honestly feels so lived in. Like, there is a rich history within the streets, and there are so many different things to see and discover, from the shops, the roads themselves, and key locations scattered about the map. And I think this is an aspect of Dying Light that is often undersung and doesn't get praised enough. It's just how well its environments are made. Yes, it's a perfect parkour playground, it's also a rich immersive world oozing history and stories within it. And this is something Techland have always been very strong at, storytelling within their environments and within the world itself. While the main game lacks a good story, the environmental storytelling is peak. So many houses are filled with details and items which can display to us what happened to the people previously living there, or if someone held up in here for a while the apocalypse was going on. Many side quests take full advantage of this exact thing, the environmental storytelling, using great set dressing to portray certain scenes and indicate to us certain story aspects. I'll highlight one of my favorite side quests later, but let us continue to, in my opinion, Dying Light crown jewel, the best part of the game, Old Town.
Okay, here goes nothing. Jade, it's Crane. Do you copy? Jade, it's Crane. Can you hear me? Damn it. All right.
With Jade not responding, we ask Troy for help, and we head to meet up with Troy herself. With us making our way there, we also make contact with Dr. Camden. But anyway, we quickly go meet Troy.
Crane! It's a pleasure, mate. I'm Savvy. Need anything technical, I'm your man. I've almost rigged a way to break through the crom jamming. Come on, say hello to Troy.
Hey, I'm Kyle Crane. It's good to finally put a face with the voice.
That comment was rather rude, wasn't it? But seems Jade is not wanting to speak to us at all. But Crane reveals everything about who he actually is, that he is a GRE agent, and that he has postponed the firebombing of the city entirely. And yeah, Jade is upset about this, and I think I said it best while playing the game.
The thing is, she acts betrayed by it, but it's like, I don't know, again, Dying Light's story was not in depth enough, and the characters didn't have enough time to breathe, really. Actually, like, have any good, meaningful development for any of these, like, big reveals to really do anything.
And I think that really is Dying Light's weakest part. The characters, again, I've stated this multiple times, they just don't have the time to really breathe and actually earn these big story-changing moments. Jade's reaction feels kind of natural. It makes sense that she would feel betrayed, but she doesn't really know Crane enough. Crane was a guy that parachuted in. They saw the parachute and they saw that he was equipped with military-grade equipment. So they know he had some sort of government or military association. So her being surprised by this feels almost out of place in a way. But with Jade again running off, Troy tells us where to try find her, so we start retracing Jade's order of events, asking people if they've seen her, but guess who is also in Old Town? It's Spike. How nice. Shame Spike is barely a character. But soon after that, Troy contacts us and asks us to return to the loft to view a news broadcast that she finds rather interesting.
An internal global relief effort document surfaced today that, if verified, implicates the GRE in a far-reaching criminal conspiracy. Instead of trying to find a cure for the Haran virus, according to the file, the GRE had plans to weaponize it and sell it to the highest bidder. Worldwide backlash has...
No, skip to the important bit.
I was the last survivor left in the quarantine. I can't believe I made it out. I can't believe I'm still alive.
We mourn all those who didn't survive, but as the president said in a speech here earlier today, life is for the living. Military troops have searched for survivors all over the quarantine, but now there's no one left besides the infected. According to Colonel Tanner, once his decontamination process is finished, the infection will be completely obliterated.
So the GRE's plans have been revealed to the world, and the GRE have had worldwide backlash, and the Ministry of Defense have now taken full control of what is happening in Haran. They have now faked a story about a final survivor escaping the quarantine, and apparently they can't find any more survivors, and now they are moving forward in the annihilation of the entire city, and wiping out the infection entirely. So Troy and Co obviously don't want to die, so they have a plan to send a message out to the world, with them setting up a specific pattern of explosives to send a clear message to the Ministry of Defense. So we go over there and meet up with a Michael at the building where the mission is taking place. Anyway, Michael is here, he explains what the job is, and then we head in to set up some explosives, turning on specific ovens and then setting the bombs up. And not only does Michael get ambushed, but we hear what sounds like a child.
Alright, zombie baby!
Is that a child crying?
The zombie baby. Let's talk about the most controversial part about Dying Light. It's zombie baby, which I remember specifically at the time was a really big thing. I remember a lot of articles online about how the inclusion was unexcusable, was too disturbing, too graphic, and no video game should ever have kids that are suffering, dying, being zombies, and we should never be allowed to shoot kids or harm kids in any way. These guys really miss Dead Space 2, hey? But the zombified babies just show how ruthless the actual virus is. It doesn't care. It will use anything it can get its hands on, and it will turn the infected it gets into zombies that best suit what their physical capabilities are. It understands how to effectively manipulate people by using a baby's crying to lure people akin to something like that of the witch in Left 4 Dead with the crying woman. But man, I like it. The zombie games really need to have more zombie children and more variety of zombies, as it makes sense that not only will adults, old people, overweight people, people of all different shapes, sizes, skin colors, all sorts would be zombies, but also children as well. You often find that if a zombie isn't white and male, it's often seen as a problem. Resident Evil 5 also has a problem with racism because the game takes place in Africa, so the zombies are black because the majority of Africa's population is, guess what, black. So the zombies are black, and I don't understand how the game is racist because of that. But the zombie baby, I really like it. It's such a cool inclusion to me. It just adds to how fucked the situation actually is and puts a moral question in your mind about if what you're doing is worth it. Should you be killing all these zombies as they were just innocent people at one point? What am I saying? Of course you should. Take a 12 gauge and put it right through its skull. I understand some people find something like this uncomfortable and disturbing, but guess what? That's what pure horror is. You are meant to feel uncomfortable with this. Dying Light is a horror game. You are meant to feel uncomfortable. Horror isn't just about being scared, it is about being disgusted or uncomfortable, and that is what this does perfectly. But me, in the words of my own mother, I don't hate kids, I just dislike other people's kids. So kill them, I don't care, they ain't mine, they're getting a 12 gauge in their head. There is just another target for you to headshot. But honestly, S-tier zombie design, I love it, it adds so much to the game and adds a much needed zombie variety in physical appearance. With Crane escaping to the elevator, of course shit goes wrong. Should have jumped, he would have got iframes. Anyway, here's me getting angry at a stupid death.
Really? There was one in there, right around the corner.
After that though, we bolt our way through the sewers and now detonate the bombs.
Crane, we see it. Great job.
Thanks, I hope it's enough. You had any contact with Jade?
Crane.
Jade, is that you?
Crane, I heard what you did. I see what you did.
So, do you believe me now that I'm on your side?
But with that, the Ministry don't agree with a sad face and blow it up, ensuring that our message doesn't get out. But with Jade seeing our mission being complete and us showing that we are on the side of the people, she has agreed to meet with us, so we rendezvous with her at a location she selected. Hey, get it? It's the name of the mission, rendezvous. But guess what? Oh no. Rise has captured the Scorpion, Jade, so we now need to head to the museum in order to rescue Jade. So we quickly jump, dive and slide over to the museum and use an underwater entrance to infiltrate it stealthily. With us infiltrating the mission, we find it overrun with not only the infected, but also Rise's men. So we fight our way through, but occasionally we have a couple of seizures, indicating that Crane is indeed running out of...
We meet again. The last time we met, you took something of mine. Now, I took something of yours.
I don't negotiate with assholes, Rise. I get out of here with Jade, or I take your other hand too. Your choice!
Well, it seems Jade is here, and Crane is rather determined to save her. So a big old gunfight ensues, which is actually quite difficult because all the enemies have the high ground on you. But slowly but surely fighting our way through, we find Jade injured on the floor, and if it isn't obvious, she has been bitten.
Oh shit, what have they done to you?
Fine, Crane. Tahir knocked me over the head before he dumped me in here. Just give me a minute. I'll be right as rain.
You do not have the luxury of a minute, Scorpion. In fact, what little time you have, you owe to me. Thanks to your repair of my antennas, Crane, I've listened to every word any of you have said. How do you suppose I found you, Miss Aldemir? Or the good Dr. Camden? How do you think I broke the connection between the sectors? I am the director of this field. And now that I have Zere's research, the GRE will do as I command them, which renders the two of you useless. Tahir!
So the towers allowed Rise to listen to every single conversation that was occurring on the tower. And it explains how he was able to actually catch Jade because she said the location, so Rise just went there and grabbed her himself. But Rise has one last game he wants to play, and he tosses us one single antizin dosage. With Jade being infected a couple of hours ago and Crane's previous dose of antizin wearing off, the pair are both slowly turning into zombies. But Crane is much closer to turning, and we get an obligatory drug sequence that every game had during this era. Now, Dying Light's infection is honestly one of the most interesting viruses employed in zombie media to me. As stated by Dr. Zir, it's an infection similar to some sort of rabies, which even in real life, rabies is the main inspiration for any zombie virus that has really aggressive infected, which explains their rabid behavior. But it seems the virus uses past memories which cause anger and amplify them, with Crane seeing all of his past failures, the death of Zir, Rahim, and now seeing a zombified Jade, which fills him with rage due to him also failing her. But she doesn't bite us, she injects us with the dosage of antizin.
Oh God, Jade, what was that? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
One of us has to live, Kyle. You just remember what you promised me.
All of this, and still you had your choice made for you. Disappointing, Crane. You, and you. Get in there and kill them.
With Jade becoming more and more brutal during the fight, she now fully transformed to an infected, with her becoming a viral. So now Crane has to kill a person who not only saved his life once, but multiple times. And Jade's death, I think, is really the only one in the game that actually somewhat hits quite well. Not like to the extent that I think it should, but I actually feel something when Jade dies, as you feel like Crane has failed. You feel like your actions have led to this point, and you feel like you could have done something to prevent it, as the action of destroying the Anderson earlier in the game has led you to this exact point now. We would have never had Jade at this point, and she would have never died if Crane just brought the Anderson back. She would have never got bit, she would have never got captured, and she would have never died. It's the moment that I think works the best in the game because, again, Jade has the most screen time in the game apart from Crane. And I think it shows what Techland would have been able to do if they actually fully fleshed this story out. But anyway, with Jade dead, now Tahir comes in and decides he wants to have a scrap with us, and we quickly rock his shit.
Look at that. Jade lost her life for this thing. It's just lying on the floor. I guess Rice must have dropped it when he was trying not to get shot, huh? Oh, shit, this is just the tissue samples. Where's the other package?
Go to hell, Crane.
Wow, Tahir. You're looking pretty fucked up, huh? Yeah, those don't look like the kinds of wounds you recover from.
So, then kill me.
No, I shouldn't. I should just leave you here to suffer. That's what you deserve.
Yes? Then why don't you?
Because you're not the kind of loose end you leave untied.
Honestly, the turn away from Tahir's death feels completely out of place in a game like this. We have seen some pretty fucked things, but I guess the devs just didn't want to animate his death. But with us leaving the museum, Crane reflects on Jade sacrificing herself for him. And the reason she did this is because he's a GRE agent. Crane is the only one that can actually save Haran from the bombing, as, you know, he's a GRE agent, so he can now convince them and make them delay it. So we take the package that Jade was carrying to Doc Camden. Anyway, here's another child zombie again, and I shot it. Fuck them kids. But before meeting with Dr. Camden, Troy has a mission for us to reach a radio tower to send a message out to the world to stop the bombings. Basically, the message is, hey guys, there are people still alive in the quarantine zone. Please don't barbecue us. So we head through the sewers again to reach the radio tower. Anyway,
oh, for fuck's sake.
But reaching the radio tower, we have a job to not only activate it, but also climb the goddamn thing. And again, I actually really like this part. The rain makes it moody, and the objective of climbing the tower is actually really fun. And this tower is one of the tallest towers in the game. So we repair the lift, restoring power, but guess what? It falls straight to the floor, so we have to manually climb the entire tower, which is amazing. Honestly, Dying Light is one of those games that would have really benefited from the Far Cry style tower systems for its maps, as Dying Light has a really fun climbing system. So it not having it honestly feels like a missed opportunity, despite how much I hate them towers. But with us reaching the top, we repair the tower and now contact the outside world.
Anyone who can hear me, please listen. My name is Kyle Crane, and I'm sending this message from inside the Haran quarantine. Colonel Tanner and the Ministry of Defense have lied to you. There are still survivors inside the walls. They plan to firebomb Haran, but if those bombs drop, you will know Tanner and the Ministry are cold-blooded murderers.
Holy shit! There's someone alive in the quarantine zone?
Or it seems the GRE are trying to salvage this situation, and with the Ministry's plans being foiled, they themselves will now face public backlash for doing what every government official will ever do to you: lie. Who could have guessed that the government lie in a game? Never would have guessed that. Anyway, we now leave the area returning to Old Town and now make our way to the clinic, which honestly, a lot of story stuff actually happens here. But first of all, we head to the facility and clear out the front, allowing us to enter. But Camden actually explains a lot while going through this mission of why Rise is the way he is.
Everything went straight to hell after Rise's brother died, you know. Rise went from a guy with monstrous tendencies to a full-blown monster. Zara and I got to safety with the help of a GRE operative, a man very similar to you. The operative who helped us was supposed to evacuate alongside us, but you can guess how well that worked out, since Zara and I both got stuck here.
But Camden mentions that another GRE operative, similar to us, helped him and Zir a lot out during the initial outbreak, but he hasn't heard from him recently, as he went to the tower to help out with that group, so maybe it's someone that we already met. But with us now going through decontamination, we can now finally meet Dr. Camden, who, by the way, is voiced by Dan Gilvels. Oh, fucking hell. Dan Gilvezan. Dan Gilvezan. I feel like I've wrote that wrong. Dan Gilvezan, who some of you won't recognize his name or voice, but I do, because this guy is the voice actor for Spider-Man in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the really old cartoon, and also the voice of Spider-Man 2099 in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Also, he's voiced a lot of Transformers. Anyway, Camden does his tests, but Crane wants to show him a photo and asks him if this is the GRE operative, and it is. That photo is from Jade, and the photo has the man called Amir. Amir was the person who saved us at the very beginning of the game and died in the beginning, so potentially the only reason he saved us was because he was instructed to by the GRE, or maybe because he also turned on the GRE, and the reason Crane was sent in was because Amir found out what the GRE were actually doing and kind of just sort of cut them out. So Crane was sent in after the fact when their first mission failed, but obviously Amir, seeing this, potentially might have saw someone that he needed to save because he knew the mission they were on was a death sentence, which, yeah, it is. And maybe he could even get another very skilled person to join the tower. Also, him and Jade, as stated, are implied to be a couple, and I think they are, I don't know. Again, Dying Light does not give enough time to these characters for this sort of relationship to be developed, but it is implied. We know very little not only about Jade and very, very little about Amir as well, but Jade seemed to be very fond of Amir, keeping a photo of him, but Amir honestly is a really odd inclusion, as I think you could have folded Raheem and Amir into the same sort of character, as Crane's entire arc is trying to fill Amir's shoes for the people of the tower and try to redeem himself for Amir's death in the eyes of the people. But you could have kind of tied that into Raheem's death, who died maybe due to Crane's failure. Amir needed more screen time, honestly, and I think you could have tied him into a tutorial mission of some sort with Amir saving Crane, and you die sacrificing yourself to save Jade and Crane, which would have allowed Amir to not only get a little bit more screen time, but also people will actually fucking remember him, because a lot of people, when they hear this, they're confused about who Amir actually is. Or, you know, they should have done what they probably should have done, either make a DLC or another game that is a prequel that takes place during the actual outbreak, where we play as Amir. Techland have this entire story. Like, please, for the fucking love of God, can the next Dying Light game not be so far into the future of the outbreak? The most interesting time for a zombie apocalypse is the actual outbreak, not the post-apocalypse, in my opinion. As, unfortunately, when you get further into a zombie apocalypse, it becomes less and less scary because people have figured it out, and when you're 10 plus years into the apocalypse, people at this point would have fully figured out how to comfortably live around the zombies, which we saw that in Dying Light 2. This is why Dying Light 2 failed as a good sequel to Dying Light and a good horror game. Well, it had good parkour, it lacked the horror that the first game had. Anyway, we now contact the GRE again.
This is Crane, do you copy?
Kyle Crane,
Well, that ain't the GRE, is it? Rise is now threatening us that he will leave Haran and give the GRE what they want, the file, and with a file exchange, they will just bomb the city instantly. So basically the GRE are offering him a safe passage out of death in exchange for that file. So we now need to race back to Rise's tower and climb it in order to confront him and prevent him from escaping, which is now sort of the final action set piece level with a lot of fighting and a lot of killing of guards and climbing as well. Can't lie though, this level is really good, as it uses almost every environment in the game, from Old Town to the sewers to the slums and Rise's tower. But as we climb Rise's tower, we eventually meet Kareem again, and he warns us of some traps being set on the floor above. So he tells us that we need to take a detour to ascend safely, in quotation marks, because the other building is full of infected, but also new infected, exploding virals, which are dangerous as hell, but B tier, kind of too similar to virals in the bombers. Walking our way through all of that though, we slowly but surely ascend the tower, eventually confronting Rise at the top, and like many people say, this is a very dissatisfying end boss, as it is a quick time event, but I kinda like the end scene in itself.
You are a man. Take your vengeance.
Will you just shut the fuck up?
But as the chopper comes to get Rise gets the upper hand and puts Crane in a dire situation. But Crane gets a good counter on him and kills him, and we now have an argument with the GRE woman.
Crane, why do you even give a fuck what happens to these people? You don't belong here. This is just a job for you.
No, not anymore, it's not. I'll be in touch when I've decided what to do next.
Crane? Hello, Crane, can you hear me? It's Camden.
Yeah, Doc, I hear you. What's going on?
The analysis just finished on the tissue samples. The results are... well, I don't think the word phenomenal is too strong. Crane, if you can recover Zara's data, I'm certain a cure is within reach.
All right. Hey, we'll talk about it next time I see you.
And that ends Dying Light's main campaign. Honestly, if you can't tell, Dying Light's main campaign lacked a lot of key areas, mainly in the actual storytelling part. But it has, well, I would say the bones of a good story, but it's like a model skeleton that is used in school for 10 plus years. Half the ribs are missing, a foot's missing, and an arm is gone, and its lower jaw is missing as well. Even as bare bones as the story is, with some key points still lacking in the fundamental, basic, foundational things to tell a story, I would still not say its story is bad. Its story is about a man who decides that he can make a choice and he wants to make a positive change for the people who really do need help. He no longer wants to be a puppet or a dog to be manipulated, but be an individual who can make a real difference for the people of the Tower and Haran. It's just a shame his entire arc just isn't explored and isn't obvious, as Dying Light is no secret has had a shit ton of content cut from the game. And I'm sure a lot of the story was cut as well. It's clear there were a lot of issues that arose around publisher disagreements, mainly from Deep Silver, who let Techland go and do their own thing, as they didn't want to make the funny Dead Island 2 game, and then they had to obviously strike a deal with WB Games, so again, it's a miracle this game even got made. But as the saying goes, diamonds are made under pressure, and Techland made a massive diamond with Dying Light. While not flawless, it is still a diamond nonetheless. So what can we actually take away from Dying Light's world and story? At its core, to me, Dying Light is about survival, not just in the physical sense, but it's also about the cost of maintaining your humanity in a world that punishes compassion and rewards cruelty. Carl Crane arrives in Haran with a mission: infiltrate, observe, and extract information for the people in charge, the GRE, the shadowy organization. He's a soldier, a tool of bureaucracy sent into a dying city. But what he finds in the city is something far more complicated. He finds people, communities trying to hold together what little they have left. Survivors who aren't just surviving, they're living, they're forming connections with each other, helping one another, protecting what's left, and slowly his mission begins to erode. The game draws a sharp line between duty and morality, then spends the rest of its runtime watching Crane stumble between it, deciding what side he falls on. Does he want to be a moral good character or someone who is just there to do his job? The agency that sent him, the GRE, offers the illusion of control, of order, of a bigger picture, but their orders demand betrayal. They ask him to sabotage, to withhold a potential cure, to prioritize data over human lives. And for what exactly? Control. In contrast, the survivors that Crane meets, they ask nothing of him, they just want his help, a bit of decency, protection, a bit of effort on his part, but most importantly, empathy. They need Crane's skills and his know-how. Crane is a good leader. He is a man that is able to infiltrate on his own and basically manipulate people into getting what he wants. But people that are good in a job like this can help people in dramatic ways as well. And Crane does that. What makes Dying Light resonate isn't just the zombies or the parkour or the world. It's the quiet tragedy of Crane's transformation. The deeper he gets involved, the more he begins to realize that survival here means choosing a side, and choosing to help the people of Haran means turning his back on the world that sent him in. He begins as an outsider looking in, but by the end he's one of them. The real story of Dying Light is slow crumbling of institutional trust and the rise of personal responsibility in its place. The GRE and Ministry of Defense believe they can control the virus, but they can't. There's too much bureaucracy for them to actually control it. It comes down to individuals taking charge in those situations. And ultimately, Crane fails in his mission, not because he doesn't fight hard enough or move fast enough or care deeply enough, but because Haran was already lost. He was never able to save the day or save the world by grabbing this cure. It was always a lost mission. Haran was lost when it was abandoned by the world. It was going to be firebombed the day the virus was tested there. His victory is survival and knowing that he is able to protect those who are still alive in the quarantine. And while this might lead and does lead to the end of the world, he knows that doing the right thing and protecting those that are still alive is the right thing. Even if it costs him everything else, he doesn't want to live with the choice of knowing that he caused people's death. Dying Light itself doesn't end with a triumphant sort of last hurrah. It ends with a man staying behind on a half-built skyscraper in a city filled with infected, choosing to remain there instead of choosing to escape, because he knows if he leaves, everyone else will die. He finally understands that if he doesn't help these people, no one else will. It's a bleak message, but a powerful one. Sometimes the only real choice we have is who we become when everything else sort of fails us and fails everyone else. If you aren't going to help those who need your help, maybe no one else will come along to help them. Maybe you're the last person that can help them, so maybe you should help them. But Dying Light's best part isn't its main campaign, it's its world and side missions in my opinion. So I guess let's talk about some of the variety of side activities available within Dying Light, starting with side missions. Side missions, like most games, allow Crane to engage with smaller disconnected stories, which has him deal with very different situations, and honestly, the side missions are the best part of Dying Light, and I mean that. While some are basic fetch quests, others, mainly in the Old Town area, are amazing, with one of my favourites being Chasing Past, with Crane investigating a couple of missing kids and finding a recording of the kids doing some investigating within their apartment building, looking for their lost dog. You see scenes of some sort of crazed lunatic in one of the rooms with like stabbed stuffed toys, which the boy in the recording calls a strange man, and going down into the basement retracing the boy's investigation, you find their dog dead on the table, and out comes the crazy neighbor who is a cannibal. It's such a simple quest, but it drags you into the game's world and immerses you entirely. And this is when Dying Light is at its strongest, when the game just drags you in and you actually care about what is going on and you want to figure out these sort of small stories. So many of these style of missions all over the world, and I could talk about these for hours, but honestly, if you haven't played Dying Light, why the fuck are you watching this video first of all? But go play the game. The side missions are so good and are honestly worth buying the game just for. They are some of the most immersive missions I've played, and the sheer variety of them in the side quests is insanity. The amount of things you get up to and the amount of people you meet is amazing. It's Dying Light's best part. But another activity you can get up to are challenges, either combat or parkour. Honestly, they're just simple trials which reward you with XP for whichever one you tackled. They're a great pastime, and they kind of just fill up the world with some fun things to do, just like the bounties, which I think were added later on, but are a nice addition, which adds some much needed side objectives for you to return to the game for, and also, I think they're dynamic. I think they change every day, so that's always nice to see. But also the world has dynamic events like protection missions or saving survivors or looting airdrops. Dying Light's world is so alive. There is so much to do in it and so much to find, with not only sort of cool moments and cool locations to find, but also a bunch of Easter eggs being numerous in this game. Dying Light has so many of them, from a Mario Bros Easter egg, Plants vs Zombies, to even an Excalibur weapon. But just general exploration of Haran is one of the most enjoyable and rewarding things in gaming to me. All these things are just reasons for you to engage with Dying Light's best part, its gameplay. And I think Old Town encompasses Dying Light at its best. Just free roaming Old Town is one of the best gaming experiences you will ever have, because while Old Town is smaller than the slums, it feels so much more fun due to that added verticality and just how dense the map actually is. But in your travel, you might find another type of content you can engage with, the quarantine zone. These are pretty good with fun objectives inside. They reward you handsomely with a lot of resources and materials, not only adding an almost end game content to the game, but also adding world building, as these buildings often have lore associated with them, as well as enhancing the overall story of the game's world in itself. Again, the game's main campaign may lack, but Dying Light more than makes up for it with just how rich its world is in lore and stories. But Dying Light also has another hidden part that has its own community. and that is Be the Zombie mode. The Be the Zombie mode allows players to invade another person's game and hunt down a player during the night, akin to something like Dark Souls, as a new zombie type, the Night Hunter. Basically a volatile, but with a grappling hook. And this mode is fun and still has a massive community around it because it's PvP, but it isn't, in my opinion, deep enough to really hold your attention. Some people, it very much holds their attention, but I think for most people, it's not enough because it's still very much a side mode. I would love to see Dying Light bring this mode back again because I think it's been left in Dying Light 1, and I would love to see them bring it back and really enhance it more and add more to it. I think it's really good mode, and I would just love to see it return again and expanded upon. But of course, Dying Light didn't end with just the base game. Dying Light received a plethora of DLC, and while a lot of it wasn't exactly super well received, such as Bozak Horde, Cuisine and Cargo, and the many sort of skin packs, they were okay additions, but they never felt like they were worth the money. They just didn't add enough content or a new area to explore, or quests to sink your teeth into. While Techland probably knew this, they were just hiding us over until they would release, honestly, one of the best expansions in gaming history, and I mean that. With Dying Light, the following: I have love in me the likes of which you can scarcely imagine, and rage the likes of which you would not believe. If I cannot satisfy the one, I will indulge the other. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the movie, 1994.
Please, don't make me.
You said he talked about magic and what? Domesticated zombies?
He talked about a group of people who don't get infected, even if they're bitten.
Delirious people will say anything.
He was holding this map when we brought him in.
Whoa. This looks like...
A way out of Haran. Crane, we're running out of Antizin. We have to explore every possibility. We can't wait any longer.
I fucking love this intro so much.
Stay away! Stay away! You don't understand. The mother.
Dying Light the following sets up a key mystery about domesticated zombies and people immune to the virus, and someone called the Mother. And a key quote from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which I just read, but the quote suggests teetering between two extremes, boundless affection and destructive fury. It's a warning and a confession. If denied the chance to love, they may become dangerous through their own wrath. And this obviously sets up the idea that the following is going to be about. It's about a man who wants to save the ones he loves, but is denied this quest. And with this, his rage will be unleashed upon the world. We begin the following in the sewers with the objective to find a way out, and we do just that, climbing our way through the cave filled with drawings, eventually reaching the following's main area, the countryside.
Lena, do you copy?
Crane, damn it, you're breaking up.
Yeah, listen, your one-eyed delirious patient, he was telling the truth. There is a way out. Maybe what he said about people who don't turn is true.
He died this morning, Kyle. The fever got him. You're on your own, I'm afraid.
We find ourselves atop a massive sheer cliff, and parkouring our way along, we find our only way down is to take one large leap into a river below, with us now officially entering the new open world area, the countryside. And honestly, I'm a bit mixed on this area. The following's map is a lot more open, with a hell of a lot less verticality for you to engage with. But with this environment, it allows for a new gameplay mechanic to be explored. But first, we make our way to a small settlement of someone to help us find out more about this rumor of the Mother and a cure.
What do you want?
I need to talk to someone in charge. I'm from Haran.
Oh, you a smuggler? You work for that crook, huh?
Look, I don't know anything about any smuggling, pal. I'm here I need some help.
Ask for Jasir, but understand this. If you steal anything, you lose your hands.
Well, this fine gentleman, brushing us off, tells us to look for a man in charge. And something you'll notice is that everyone you speak to, they don't want you here. But eventually you'll find a bit of a domestic occurring within the barn.
Fine. Fine.
Eski, wait. I'll tell you no more than he.
Fucking hell, why won't anybody help me? The virus is all over the city. People are dying.
And yet, you still live. Take some bread, my friend, and go back to Haran. No one wants you here.
Well, even Jazir doesn't want us to be here. He doesn't want anything to do with us. So we leave.
Lena, this is Crane. Do you copy? Damn it, what a fucking wasteland.
Hey, yeah, you. Come here. Come on, come closer. I won't bite you. Don't worry. I ain't like the rest of these loonies. Yeah, I'm talking about you, you nut jobs.
So you're not one of them? Then why aren't they trying to run you off?
Because I sell more shit than just bread. My name's Khan, by the way.
Kyle Crane.
Hey, you're from Haran, right? Bet you ran into my optically challenged buddy.
You mean the guy with an eye missing?
Yeah, that's the one. My boy Kurt. How's he doing?
Oh, he didn't make it.
Well, that's a damn shame. But, can't say I'm surprised.
Maybe you can help me. Kurt said the people out here are immune to the virus. You know anything about that?
Now that you mention it, I don't remember any of the locals actually turning. Fucking wackos. They're in a damn cult, led by some woman they call the Mother. Used to be just a harmless local tradition, you know? They weren't serious about it. Well, they're goddamn serious these days. Ever since the outbreak. They scribble symbols everywhere, do these fucking rituals. I think they even pray to her.
Yeah, but what about this whole not turning thing? They on Antizin or what?
Listen, I'm short a man now. And since I'm an entrepreneur, let's do business. Partner up, you and me. Buying anything, friend? Freaks.
What kind of partnership you have in mind?
Well, you need some information, and thanks to Kurt getting himself deceased, I need a driver with brains. I can show you something that might help you out, but we'll need to get some wheels first.
You want a vehicle out here? Where am I supposed to find that?
I'd look around the nearest farm if I were you. And hey, be discreet about it, all right?
Well, Calm seemed to know the dead guy from the opening, and he gives us a task to obtain a ride for him. So we head to the location he gives us, but turns out there are a bunch of raiders there. So we do a little bit of killing. By the way, you might notice my level was a bit higher than it was at the end of Dying Light's main campaign. Glitches do be rampant in this game, and once I beat the main story, I decided I was going to exploit the shit out of the game and get max level. Anyway, clearing the camp and grabbing the whip, we tear out of there and drive back to Khan. But guess what? He isn't there anymore.
You're looking for Khan? He's gone. I guess they finally asked him to leave. Of course I didn't. You're here for the same reason he was. Same reason the bandits won't leave us alone. And we're supposed to trust you?
There's gotta be something I can do to convince you.
You don't have to convince me. I don't care. Show everyone else you're here to give, not just to take. And I'm Ezgi, by the way.
Well, it seems we need to build trust within the community, and Ezgi wants us to repair the water system in the area. So we quickly go out, kill a bunch of guys, and find a screaming guy in there as well, Ollie. Ollie does repair the system, but it's an ancient piece of shit, his words, not mine. So we drive along the pipeline to find the main valve to prevent it from breaking and open the valve itself. With us repairing the system and returning back to the farm, people are now not as cold to us and are actually more willing to speak to us. And now Jazir actually trusts us, and we can now actually start to build our rep within the community. So it seems we need to do more good, and we now unlock the trust system, which is kind of the main progression system within Dying Light the following. Basically, you're required to do side quests and side activities to build the trust up, which then allow you to unlock the next main missions. So you need to do things to do that. So of course, this means most people will have to go out and do a bunch of side missions. But I know glitches, and I glitched the game basically to speed up the playthrough. I have played this game so many times, I cannot be bothered to go do side quests, which are fetch quests. So I just want to focus on the main quest. Let's just focus on that. But first of all, let's go over the new skill tree, the car skill tree. The car is a main mechanic introduced in the following, and it has its entire own skill tree associated with it. And I actually quite like the buggy itself. It adds a new way to traverse the world and new activities with like race trials and open world activities as well. And of course, a new way to approach combat, GTA style. The following is very open-ended. It's actually very, like, you can do whatever you want. It is like the most open-ended part of Dying Light. You can do what you want, when you want, except the order of the main quests. Most side missions are available right at this point, so you can just run all over the map and do whatever you want now. You just have to raise that trust meter. But with me handing in a bunch of packages which I obtained from an Amazon order, I wouldn't recommend doing this, by the way. Actually do the side quests. The following has some pretty good side quests, but again, I've played the following 6-7 times, so I know what happens. And I think this video is getting long enough, so let's just focus on the main story of the following, because this is the most interesting part to me. Once you reach a certain trust level, Jazir will contact you asking you to return to the farm, and we will meet one of the Faceless brothers.
Oh, so you're one of the Faceless. Will you let me speak to the mother?
You think she would speak with a stranger? No, but you are on the right path if you wish to join our ranks. Be patient. What's your name?
Kyle Crane.
You have a long road ahead of you, Kyle Crane. Do not stray from it. And may this help you in your struggle. That's all we have to say to you for now.
Well, kind of pointless, as it just states that we need to get another higher level. But after you raise the trust a bit more, the Faceless will again request we attend a ceremony up in the mountains, and here we actually meet the mother herself.
What the hell did they do to you?
I have been shown the error of my ways. They have opened my eyes to the truth, to the light.
Holy shit. Talk about drinking the Kool-Aid.
Mother is good. Mother is grace. Mother is light.
Mother, blessed by the sun, we praise you. Mother, embraced by the wind, we trust you.
Embraced by the wind, we trust you.
Mother, radiant with grace, come to us.
Radiant with grace, come to us.
Children of the sun, accept the mother's gift and stay true to her path. For your suffering, the mother thanks you.
What is this? Shit!
Remain true to the path, stranger, for it has only just begun.
What's happening to me?
Accept me.
No, this can't be happening. Can't be.
Your destiny and mine are intertwined.
No, this can't be happening. Can't be.
Believe in me, Kyle, as I believe in you.
Who are you?
Now this scene obviously displays to us that yes, the people were not lying, but the mist definitely has something to do with the immunity, and the mother informs us that yes, we are indeed immune to the virus now, as long as our faith to the mother remains. And Crane tries to inform Elena, much to the radio's disagreements. Also, somehow Khan was there, and he seemed like a person who was, let's say, manipulated by a cult, which hints at a potentially more sinister background to the Children of the Sun. Anyway, increasing our standing a little bit more, again, Jazir will contact you and request our presence, so we head back to the farm.
I didn't want to get into details over the radio. He was military, and he asked us to give away all of his possessions.
That's a military keycard.
Well then, here, you take it.
Well, it seems that he got some sort of military keycard which was handed to Crane. Anyway, one of the Faces contacts us again with a strange phenomenon occurring in one of the fields. So we head out there and we find some mist, the same mist that we were exposed to at the temple, just in the field with a very large demolisher in the middle of it all. With us eliminating the big boy, we can find military cargo, and the Faceless has a rather interesting comment.
Oh, well, that's an interesting development. Brother, I can't really tell you right now, but meet me at Jasir's farm. Soon, I believe you are ready.
Well, it seems that Crane is ready to actually be brought into the Children of the Sun, so we head back to meet the Faceless at Jazir's farm.
See you again, brother. This time, though, I fear I carry some bad news for you.
Yeah, well, I'm used to that by now. What's going on here?
Kyle, you already knew, didn't you? People not getting infected, that it's just smoke and mirrors. It is the smoke, literally. Our mother found a way to fight the sickness using a certain, let's call it an elixir. You have seen it working with your own eyes.
So you do have a cure?
Would you call a bandage on an open wound a cure? No! What we have right now is just a temporary solution. We are working on a certain curative project, one with more permanence, but we need time, and we need peace to last for just a bit longer.
And let me guess, you're running out of this elixir.
Unfortunately, yes. That's why I asked you to come here. I want to offer you a deal. Find us more of it, and a fair portion will be yours. The mother will teach you how to use it. You'll be able to return to Haran with your prize, or perhaps you'll choose to stay with us.
Seems like you've got an idea of where to look for this stuff.
A lot of our brothers were out searching for it, and recently we lost contact with 3 of them. You're seeing the mist cannot be a coincidence. It must have been spillage. Seems that someone found the elixir and ran away with it.
All right, so check.
Farewell, brother.
The so-called cure isn't really a cure. It's just like Antizin. It's a temporary fix to a problem which will eventually stop working. As just like Antizin, it's a limited resource that needs to be replenished, and they are quickly running out of it. Just like the tower with Antizin, the Children of the Sun also are running out of the mist. But as we go out to get more of this medicine or cure, Lena informs Crane that the tower has now run out of antizin, with us telling Lena that we have discovered the cure and that he will try to bring it back as fast as he can. We're instructed now to head to a cave, so we make our way there and we investigate a military convoy which was ambushed.
Holy fuck, Rise's men?
And yes, Rise's men are now here as well. So Rise's men also found their way out of the city of Haran and into the countryside, but with this information gathered, the Faces begins the investigation of the third brother who mysteriously has gone missing as the other 2 brothers were dead in the convoy. But soon after this we get another call from an acolyte with a new task. Insert the call. Well, it seems we are to help a man with his research in the residence of the mother. So we head there and meet Attila. Attila has some research to do, but first we need to fix some cables to restore power to his house so we can actually see in the dark. After we do this, he asks us to investigate 3 sites of importance to the Children of the Sun. We basically just run around and go to each of these sites. With all 3 of these sites investigated, Attila asks us to climb the tallest mountain to find the Temple of the Sun. So we do just that, and we find a pit filled with bodies. And one of them is wearing one of the Children of the Sun's masks, but instead of the white ones we've been seeing, it's fully red. Attila requests that we grab it and bring it back to him. With us returning the mask to Attila, he asks us to let him focus on his work, so we leave, and obviously you're meant to do side activities while doing this, but after a little while, an acolyte will reach out to you and ask you to check on Attila as he hasn't checked in a while. So we quickly head back to the house and investigate the mother's residence, and we find a letter in the door where Attila was sitting and doing his research.
Kyle, what I have done, however it will turn out in the end, will give the mother a better answer to what she's looking for than any research I could have been losing time working on. You see, as a famous ethnographer, I came to Haran on the invitation of the local colonel's wife. The colonel, the mother. These were words spoken around here with utmost respect. Yet for me, after a while, they became just Amir and Jasmine. A happy marriage, if there ever was one. And it was at his request that I stayed behind when all hell broke loose. I was here when he came back to evacuate her. I watched as he got bitten, and when he asked me to stay, I did as he asked. I thought he'd want me to end his suffering. But that wasn't the case. He gave me something that I was supposed to pass to her, only if her state of mind after this tragedy didn't raise my concern. But I never saw her again. I felt rejected. I felt abandoned, and now that I'm about to die, I can't keep the promise. She still won't agree to see me. But you're different, Kyle. You have a chance to meet her. There is no other option for me. I have to leave what the Colonel gave me in your hands, Kyle. I know that when the time comes, you will make the right decision. Remember this code, please. 2519-8603. I apologize for any wrongs I have done, and I beg for your forgiveness.
It seems that Attila has done something rather drastic, and heading down into where we first entered the house, we find Attila's dead body on the floor. Attila convinced himself that the god of the sun would save his ailing body with him misinterpreting a line from a piece of text he was studying, which doesn't really matter. Anyway, we grab the mask and the book Attila was working on, and now give them to Jazir. When the items return, the acolyte then again reaches out to us. Rise's men have taken up a post in the granary, so we head over there and kill all of them. And we also find the third faceless brother.
Holy fuck. Orkin.
Kyle. Is that you?
Yes, I'll try to help you.
No. Just listen. They're following us. Wanted the cure. Didn't know how to open. So asked about Mother. I told them nothing.
Don't talk, save your energy. I'll get you out of here.
Lighthouse. Lighthouse.
Orkin, stay with me. Damn it.
Rise's men are just as ruthless as they were in the base game, even without Rise, with a pretty painful method of torture being employed here. But before the brother died, he told us one key word: lighthouse. So Crane begins to make his way over to the lighthouse to investigate and finds...
Shit, it's you. Damn, I could have killed you.
Khan?
That's me. Turn me loose. Hey, what the fuck?
It was you. You're working with Rise's bandits? Where is it, you son of a bitch? Where the hell is the cure?
What? You're crazy.
Don't fuck with me, Khan. Where is it?
Look, I just live here, all right? I don't know shit about working with bandits.
Boss, you there?
Appears that Khan was more involved with Rise's men than previously believed, and seems Khan was up to no good. Khan infiltrated the Children of the Sun to try obtain the mist and bring it back to Rise's men, because of course this is a cure that people really want, and it explains why all of Rise's men are here. They've also run out of antizin as well. But yeah, the sight of Crane fills the men with fear. With one combat sequence later, we grab the vials that were left on the floor that they were trying to steal, and we now need to rush to the dam to stop Rise's men from getting to the mother and taking the cure and potentially keeping it for themselves. So we quickly head there, and we are met by the mother.
Holy fucking shit. Hey, anybody there? Brother?
More fighting, more death. I can't let this happen again. I won't.
It's you. Where are the faceless? What's happening to me? Why do I hear your voice inside my head?
Children of the Sun, Kyle. They were nothing before the outbreak. Just a half-forgotten tradition. An old-world faith long dead. I'm tired. I've held this title for so long now. The Mother. It was meaningless. Until it became all too real. I thought their respect came simply because I was a colonel's wife. We had a good, cozy life. After the outbreak, my husband came to get me out. We didn't stand a chance against the Horde. We were bitten. He bled to death in my arms. He gave me his cigarette case and asked me to run. He didn't want to hurt me. I was dragged away by the relievers. They came for their mother. It took me a while to remember that my husband didn't smoke. I looked inside. There was a map, a key, and a note with numbers. It led us here. healthy ones tried to get the power back on. The rest of us went to look for medicine. Pointless. We found a locked container. The numbers turned out to be a code. There were strange vials inside. The others looked to me. They could have held medicine. They could have held poison. I felt a seizure coming. I was about to turn, and I realized, why else would my husband leave me here? I loved him. I trusted him. I remember a taste. Acrid, bitter as blood. It might have been blood. I awoke, down there, surrounded by the remains of the people who had trusted me. It was because of the light. Someone finally turned the power back on, and the light brought me back. You see, meeting the fuse is one thing, but drinking the liquid is something else entirely. In the light, in the sun, my mind is my own. I'm filled with love you couldn't possibly imagine. But in the dark, my new nature dominates. Mindless, lethal. In the dark, with cruel passion, I ripped my own children to pieces. But I swore to myself that I would become the mother they really deserve. And now, you have come, Kyle. And every sign tells me you're the one I've been waiting for. It's in the prophecy, Kyle. Then shall be revealed one man who, through an act of ultimate sacrifice, shall accept the mercy of the light. And the God of the sun shall be revealed through him. And through him will he speak.
I just need that medicine to save my friends.
Look at my face. There is no medicine. You want mankind to become what I am? Listen to my voice. Beautiful evolution indeed. Minds and souls connected in a telepathic bond. How poetic. Look at me. And when the darkness comes, what then? More death, more killing. You can hide from others, but who will hide them from you?
But we don't have to drink it with just the mist.
It doesn't matter. Just listen. You've been breathing the mist. It will take longer, but you're already changing into a monster such as myself.
No, wait. Listen.
The army built a failsafe into their experiment. This entire region can be purified. The question is, are you ready to sacrifice thousands of lives, Kyle? Yours among them?
The so-called cure is a liquid or medicine that turns humans into sentient volatiles who are able to control themselves during the day, but at night they are just another volatile, which explains why the mother killed her own children. And while the liquid causes rapid transformations, the mist is slower, meaning everyone exposed to the mist will eventually turn into a sentient volatile. So the mother gives us a choice, to play into her prophecy or go against her will. And this leads to two different endings. First of all, let's go over the agree and side with her ending. So choosing to side with the mother basically has the mother lead us into another room in which we are going to awaken the god of the sun, or what it actually is, a nuclear bomb. Crane, using the code given to him by Attila, then blows up the nuke, potentially eliminating the virus entirely. This ending is very much playing into the idea that hope is completely lost and Crane doesn't see a way forward. That last light of hope has completely died out. A dying light, if you will. And while yes, this ending might mean the virus is completely destroyed and humanity is saved, it feels so out of character for someone like Crane, and it feels so unsatisfying for this very reason, because it just doesn't make narrative sense. And I think this is probably the reason why this isn't the canon ending, because honestly, it wouldn't make sense if this ending was able to be canon, because Crane was right next to the bomb when it decided to blow up. But also, I think Crane is a character that would never give up on hope. He would always try and believe that there is a way forward, and he would keep trying and searching for that answer he is so desperately looking for. Also, yes, I know there is a secret nuke ending with a random nuke that you can find in the world of the following, but honestly, it just doesn't add anything. It is very much an Easter egg ending that isn't really meant to be taken too seriously. But honestly, this ending just really doesn't play into the idea of what the following is trying to outline to me in that initial quote from the opening, from that initial quote we had at the beginning of the following. So what about the other ending? Other ending leads into a final boss fight with the Mother, which eventually sees Kyle start tapping into a more primal, more vicious power, slowly turning into a volatile himself, eventually overpowering the Mother and killing her.
First, I'll kill you, bitch.
With the Mother defeated, Kyle collects the liquid and starts to make his way out of the facility.
What's happening? What's happening to me?
You'll see for yourself.
I killed you. I fucking killed you.
This is a poison.
It's not a poison. It's a cure. Lena, I'm coming back with the medicine. We'll be able to help everyone. Tell Camden that he has all the time. He has all the time in the world now. No, tell him we have a new lead. We have a better one. Where am I?
Oh yeah, time to go home.
What's going on?
Just like the quote at the beginning of the game, Kyle was rejected the ability to save his friends, and thus he would be filled with rage and become a monster, a beast amongst the infected. The ending heavily implies Kyle was the first infected to actually escape the Haran quarantine, and explains how the entire world falls apart by the time of Dying Light 2. And of course, with Dying Light the Beast, a key question has been raised of how Kyle is not a volatile in that game, as I believe this is very much the canon ending of the following, as the other two, Kyle just blows the nuke up in both of them, so he's dead. There's no way Kyle would survive a nuke, because if this man survived a nuke, like honestly, I don't even know what could kill him in the Beast. So did Kyle actually turn into a volatile? Well, I don't think he actually did. I think this is more of a mental thing, that he is seeing himself as a beast, as a monster. He didn't ingest all the liquid, so maybe his transformation isn't as drastic, but that rage is uncontrollable at night still. He still is turning into a zombie basically, but not really at the same time. And I think the Beast will explain that the Baron will experiment and basically allow him to always be in control. But that is a complete guess, because guess what? Dying Light the Beast at the time of this recording isn't out yet. But of course, this is a potential plot hole that might not be filled and might just be completely glossed over. But honestly, Dying Light the Following's ending is one of the best endings. I just love it. It is dark, it is disgusting, and it is beautiful. But what is the message of Dying Light the Following? Yes, that was very quick, but the actual main story of the following is very short. The game is mainly side content, and this video is long enough, please. Honestly, It is right there in the opening quote from Frankenstein. Is survival worth it if it means becoming the very thing you set out to destroy? That question sits at the heart of everything Kyle goes through. The story strips away the illusion of heroism and forcing both the player and the protagonist to confront a cruel reality. Sometimes there is no victory, just choices that shape what kind of failure you're willing to live. Crane begins the story in the following to a purpose. He is still chasing a cure, still trying to protect the survivors of the tower, still hoping there is a way out that doesn't involve losing his soul. But that hope is slowly, systematically dismantled. The world he enters, the countryside, is ruled by the children of the sun. It presents a strange kind of peace. These people are immune, they're calm, faithful, even joyful in the face of death. But that peace comes at a cost. They're being manipulated by a cult that offers not salvation, but transformation, literally. An elixir that delays infection by turning people into something that is no longer human or infected. It's a merger of the two. And that's where the game's central conflict takes shape. You're asked to choose between two evils: accept the elixir, lose yourself and become the monster you swore to fight, or refuse it and risk unleashing a new outbreak that could doom the entire world. There is no real cure, no real way to win. The choice is an illusion. The mission was doomed from the start, just like Kyle's mission in Dying Light's base game. That's what makes the ending of The Following so powerful to me, and why I think The Following is a much better story in comparison to the base game. It doesn't offer closure, just a slow, dawning realization that hope, while essential, can also be a trap. Even the cultists, the so-called children of the sun, aren't safe. They've simply delayed the inevitable, like Crane. They're holding on to something that can't save them. Faith, science, an elixir, a dream, and when that illusion finally cracks, there's nothing left but the truth. Sometimes survival demands a price, and that can't be paid without losing everything that made you human in the first place. Sometimes you have to cut a cancer out to save the rest of something. The tower was always going to fall. It only takes one person slipping through the cracks, one moment of failure for it all to collapse. But people kept going because that's what we do. We build stories around hope to survive the horror of the present, and Crane, he reaches the end of his story not with a victory, but with a choice that breaks him. He doesn't find salvation, he finds desperation, fear, and the cold acceptance that surviving isn't the same as being saved. Sometimes you can't save everyone. Dying Light: The Following isn't about heroism, or even survival in the traditional sense. It's about the cost of clinging to hope when all evidence points to the end. It's about what people will do when they're afraid, how far they'll go, how much they'll give up just to keep going a little longer. And ultimately, it's a tragedy, a deeply human one, because in this world, saving yourself might mean you become something you can never come back from. You might become something you tried to prevent from the very beginning.
This video, at the time of the release of this video, marks my 1-year anniversary on YouTube itself. And for this date, I knew I wanted to make a more special video, I guess. More specifically, on a game that is more personal to me. Not a new game, but one that holds real emotional weight and meaning to me. The meaning Dying Light has for me isn't just for the sake of the video. It holds real significant weight to me as a person. But you might ask, why did I choose Dying Light? Well, it wasn't actually my first choice for my 1-year anniversary video, but with the upcoming release of Dying Light the Beast, and it also being one of the very first games I spoke about on this channel, I honestly feel like this was kind of a good full circle moment for me to come back and return to this game specifically. But why does this game, which is known for having a pretty poor story, hold so much weight to me? Why does it mean so much? Well, it's like I said at the beginning of the video. To me, this game embodies and brings me back to one key friendship in my life. My best friend, whom I grew up with since I was 3 years old, all throughout school. He was the reason I fell in love with video games so much, and more specifically zombie and horror games. He showed them to me on one of those Friday nights, be it Resident Evil 4 or RE5, and we played through that together, Left 4 Dead, COD Zombies, Dead Island, and eventually he even showed me Dying Light, the trailer for it. At one point in my life, I saw him more as a brother to me than a friend, as we were almost inseparable. We were basically always together, and we played every single game that we could together. So you might ask Croc, why did he not play the game with you this time? Why did you not include him in the video in some way? Why did you play the game alone? Well, that one word really sums it up. Alone. In recent years, I've lost basically everyone that I would call friends, including him. Some from just life getting busy and losing contact with them after leaving school, but others, and including him, because people can change so much. Replaying Dying Light hit me harder than really any game really should. Not because of the story or anything, but because it just highlighted again how lonely my life has actually become in recent years. In years past, these missions I loved and I spoke about in this video, they would be filled with laughter and jokes that I remember us making about the game's stupid dialogue and the way the game played. But now I was just met with silence. It just brought me back to when I wasn't so concerned about my future and where I was going and who I'm becoming. And it just reminded me of how lost I feel in life currently, because I just don't really have anyone to turn to about the real issues I have, and I don't really feel like I can talk to anyone about my issues now. If there's one thing I've learned in life, especially in recent years, is that the strongest of bonds can be so easily shattered by these smallest of things. No matter how close you believe you and your friends are, or how you would do anything for your boys, it takes one simple change in a person for that entire narrative to flip. I honestly believed my best friend would be in my life for the rest of it, but it just fizzled out. He made a choice which put me between siding with everyone else I called friends or him. And what he did, I mean, fuck me, even I, a top waffler, cannot defend it what he did. But I think if I was given the same choice now, I actually would have sided with him, all things considered. I know most of the friends that I sided with don't actually care about me as a person. They made that abundantly clear when I told them about my diagnosis, and they just stopped talking to me slowly but surely and didn't play with me anymore, eventually removing me from any groups that they had so they could add their new friends into it. They just sort of moved me out of everything. I honestly don't know what my best friend was feeling in them days when everyone turned against him, and I never asked for his side of the story, so I guess I wasn't that great of a friend to him, and I honestly wouldn't blame him for hating me. I always knew he did care about me a lot. He was always the only one that would ever actually stick up for me when he could see others' comments were really getting to me and bothering me. And I never really felt good about how our friendship fell apart, and I don't know if the narrative told to me by others was true or exaggerated, but I never challenged it. I never found out the truth for myself, and running through the streets of Iran just reminded me how much I do truly miss him. I don't think I can fix that friendship, and I don't think he wants anything to do with me. I'm sure as hell if he does, he would have reached out to me at this point already. He was the extroverted one in our duo. I'm the introverted one, he was the extroverted one. You find very few people in your life who you genuinely connect with as people, who you actually feel like you belong with. I myself have only found 2 people like that. So my advice to those who are still in school or are still growing up and still have their large friend groups, figure out who these people are and stick with them. Friends are there to check on each other. Always make sure that you want the best for each other, even if that means challenging each other on what you do. Friends improve one another. That's what a true friend does. And that's something I completely failed at. And it led me to where I am now with no one I can actually call a friend. I knew Dying Light held up. It's one of those games that just has held up all these years later. Me going back to it was me more reflecting on myself over the past 3 to 4 years and just how much has changed about me mentally and also, I guess, physically in a way, but also just how hard the last few years have been for me. About 6 months before I started YouTube, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and I really had no one to talk to about it. And despite the brave, non-caring facade I put on, which I normally put on, it really hurt, honestly. I honestly think it broke me for a while. In a way, from not only all the tests and examinations I had to have done to me, but just also how sick I would feel all the time. For context, if you want to know what it did to me, from my diagnosis, that month, I went from 135 kg, yes, I was a big boy, down to 85 kg within a month. It just shredded weight. But if you want to know, I'm doing much better nowadays. I'm at a much healthier weight with some muscle as well, which is surprising. But it wasn't only that, it was also the many things the doctors were telling me, how I would be on medications for the rest of my life, the many side effects that come along with that, how I have to be careful of like illnesses. If someone has a cold, I have to sort of keep away from them because my immune system's compromised. And one thing really hurt. The condition is hereditary. Now, none of my family actually have the condition. I would basically just get really unlucky, and I'm like a 1 in 100 person that just gets it, or whatever the statistic now. I know it's actually more likely now. But what really hurt me was that the potential of my future kids having it, and how if I choose to have them, I would basically be rolling the dice on them having it as well. And it was like I was being told I was a failure for something I hadn't even attempted to do yet. And it really slowly led me to just hate life in general. I want to tell that story of how I got out in that mind space, how I got out the sort of I hate my life, I just don't want to do it anymore sort of mind space. But I don't think I'm really ready to dive into that part of myself and my own memories of that time. But I will say this, the person I would always talk to about the things that really hurt me this bad, my best friend, he had been gone from my life for about 4 to 5 years at that point. And the other person was my ex-girlfriend. She was my ex-girlfriend, and we hadn't spoken for a good few years as well. She also had her own whole life going on and things happening to her and her family, so I'm glad I didn't reach out to her because fuck me, she did not need it. All of it culminated with me playing a very specific game which really helped me refocus and recontextualize a lot of things in my life. But as I stated, that is a story for another day, because fuck me, that will be a very long video. But now sitting here with this video, I find myself as a completely different person to that boy that hated his life and thought it was treating him so unfairly. I now honestly really do love life. I've honestly never been happier, despite how lonely and quiet my life actually is. I still love it, and I'm not fearful of the future like I once was. I was excited at the prospect of what is to come. I don't know if I'll ever find true friends again, or someone I can actually fall in love with and achieve my dream of having kids. But I know as long as I try my hardest at whatever I'm doing, I might one day be proud of myself and not hate myself so much. But also, like, actually belong in that life I created for myself. Not one handed to me on a platter, on an easy path, but one that I actually had to battle to reach and prove myself with. And despite those happy times where I didn't have a care in the world, I honestly don't wish for them back. I look back with nostalgia, don't get me wrong, but I never want to stay stagnant and remain in place. I want to keep moving forward, learning and improving myself. I want to one day become a man that mirrors the same people that I looked up to, the voice actors I looked up to, and the other content creators I look up to. I don't know if YouTube will work out, but I really do enjoy making the videos. Not for the money or the fame, because fuck me, I'm making the wrong kind of videos to get good money from it. But it's because I genuinely love video games, and I think I have a more unique way of looking at them. And despite me not being the best at editing or anything associated with content creation, I want to keep improving and learning and getting better at it. And hey, I'm only in my first year, and I don't see myself giving up anytime soon. And I think that is what Dying Light embodies to me now. Not the once co-op horror zombie game I played with not a single care in the world, but a game with a man who just wants to fight to be able to make the choice he wants to. A journey that is dark, miserable, but will not stop chasing that faint light of hope I can see, like Crane does with The Cure. I have felt lost for so many years now, but this past year has taught me something that I never really considered. A path isn't going to find you in life. You can't just sit there and hope that you find a calling. You have to make your own path and just stick with it. It won't be easy. It will be bumpy, but if I stick with it, I know I can do it, because I'm too fucking stubborn to actually give up, even when others would judge me in the past for doing the very thing I'm doing. Friends called YouTube a waste of time, risky, and only idiots think they can find success on YouTube in such a saturated field. So lads and lasses, I'm going to parrot one of my favourite quotes from one of my favourite creative minds, despite him being a little controversial nowadays. If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. You might find that idea can change your life in more ways than you can explain.
Hello lads and lasses. I know that was very personal, but I kinda needed to make this. But anyway, this is my 1 year anniversary video. Whoopee, yay! I've been doing YouTube now for a whole year, which is fucking crazy. Life really does move fast. I did say in the last video, I think, that it was July 17th, but I actually just completely got the day wrong for some reason. I don't know how. And this was not the video I was intending to doing for the 1 year. I was actually intending to do Dark Souls, but I think I'm going to save that for maybe 10k subs. But yeah, within a year, I've gotten a lot further than I thought I would have ever gotten. I feel like I'm constantly saying this on the channel, but honestly, your support and kind words are everything to me. They give me more strength than most people would probably realize. But you might ask, Croc, did you have any goals for 1 year? Did you have a target you wanted to hit by 1 year? Well, it was to hit 100 subs, and I think I did that. I think I did better than I expected. That number to me was what a lot of people said was a big goal. 100 subs was a high expectation to hit within a year. So yeah, I think I did better than that. Honestly, I didn't think I would be anywhere near this number in a million years. And to be monetized as well is very interesting to say the least. What about goals for this year, you might be asking? Honestly, I would just like to do more voice work in general. Not just for my own channel, but other projects as well. I ain't got a clue how voice acting works, how you get out there and everything like that. But I enjoy doing it for my videos. So I guess like YouTube, I'll teach myself everything and I'll try to figure out if I actually can get out there and actually do some voice stuff. But yeah, if any other creators need voice actors or anything, hit me up. I'm always down for anything fun. But again, thank you to everyone, and a special thank you, of course, to all channel members: Justin Tyler, Marty Morris, Game Scavenger, Artman XP, Rat, and I will guess I'll give a special thank you to Saber as well. Again, not to tell a sub story or anything, but I don't really have anyone in my corner really cheering me on, and the people that don't really get YouTube and everything, so having a voice be kinder than most people I used to call friends has been really nice, and he probably doesn't actually realize how much those words of encouragement actually mean to me and how much they've actually helped me. I've stated one day I hope I can repay that kindness. I mean, fuck, I'll buy you a pint if we ever actually meet in real life, because you never know what the future holds, so I promise I'll buy first round. But anyway, I'm sure that is more than enough waffling from me. I don't know what the next video is going to be. Honestly, I have no clue what the next video is going to be, guys. I'm sure it's not a video that you guys really enjoyed, and the sequel to it, I'm going to do Black Souls 2 next. I decided I'm just going to play it next because I actually kind of want to do it, but I'm going to go full hog with that video. It's going to take me a while to make that one, I think, because Black Souls 2 is not only longer, it is more complex, and I want to do more with the video. I'm probably going to voice almost all the characters myself, but yeah, that's going to be good fun. But yeah, that's enough from me. See you around, Crocodile.